Welcome to the Good Ads Matter Roundtable 2026. 2 years ago, Good Ads Matter released not only its very own inaugural roundtable, but the very first such initiative in the history of Indian advertising. And today, it's bringing yet another of the firsts of Indian advertising, a roundtable dedicated to AI and advertising. We're getting quite spoiled, aren't we? Back with the top 1% creative gurus under one roof, here I'm joined by filmmakers and creators who thrive at the intersection of technology and soul, blending them into era-defining art. These unapologetic visionaries have used artificial intelligence as an anchor to tell stories in the most unimaginable ways. This year, these conversations are supported by Invideo, who are shaping how stories are made in an AI-enabled creative world. Now, let's meet our esteemed company, shall we? Right in front of me, Azazul Haque. Azaz is the group CCO for Creativeland Asia. In a remarkably distinguished career, Azaz has worked with the top advertising agencies and brands, having previously served as the Chief Creative Officer at Ogilvy and Mullen-Lowe Lintas, becoming the youngest CCO in India at Ogilvy. He started his career with Lintas back in 2001. Since then, he's worked with Bates, Publicis, Lowe, Mudra, McCann, Contract, and Media Monks on brands like Nescafe, Coke, Nestle, Maggi, Dabur, and the like. It's pretty much every agency. The ones that don't even exist anymore.
Except JWT.
Except JWT, which doesn't exist. Okay. His iconic work for brands like Domino's, Amazon, MP Tourism, and Tata Tea have won top honors, including Cannes Lions, a D&AD graphite pencil, and Effie's, cementing his reputation for culturally powerful, celebrated storytelling and really colorful shoes. He's known for that on social for sure. Right next to him is Akshat Gupt. Akshat is a director and co-founder and chief creative officer at Kulfi Collective, a creative studio which he runs alongside his brother Advait. In late 2012, the brothers and a best friend accidentally won a short film contest, as one does, and bootstrapped their first venture, Sopari Studios, and eventually Kulfi Collective, a full-stack creative studio working with brands like Spotify, Lego, Crocs, and Meta. A Forbes Asia 30 Under 30 alumnus, Akshat has directed over 300 projects, won multiple Webby Awards, and served on the creative jury at the Good Ads Matter Awards 2025, where Kulfi Collective won a gold and 2 silvers.
Yep, thank you.
Next to Akshat, we have Dharam Valia. Dharam is the co-founder and executive producer of Hungry Films. With a background in advertising, he is old school about brand and craft, but next gen about execution. Hungry Films won multiple golds at the Good Ads Matter Awards 2025, where Dharam also served as a film craft juror, in addition to being part of the juries for Clio's and Shots. And just a bang bang connection, Dharam happened to be the senior servicing guy on what I still consider to be Bang Bang's most iconic piece of work, which is the IPL Carnival film we did, which was 14 years old now. We have Shai Samtaney. Shai is a Mumbai-based director and the founder of Jungle Films, launched in 2020, is known for blending pop culture, fashion, sport, and social satire through a bold cinematic lens. She began her career at MTV and VH1, winning multiple international Pro Max awards, and has since led standout work for numerous brands, including the launch of NBA India. A strong voice for breaking creative stereotypes, her films spotlight fresh, culturally sharp narratives, especially around women and contemporary India. And Shai also happens to have directed for Bang Bang in the past.
My first ad film.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
Next to Shai, we have Shakun Batra. Shakun is the founder, director, and executive producer at Jouska Films and Jouska AI, the production company's AI division. He's best known for emotionally nuanced cinema like Kapoor and Sons and Gehraiyaan. Filmfare and IFA winner, he brings the same human depth to advertising with acclaimed work for renowned brands. At the Good Ads Matter Awards 2025, not only did he serve on the Filmcraft jury, but his work for Tira also won multiple awards. And Shakun has also been an AD at Bang Bang.
We started when it was like a 3-bedroom office.
You're the mafia, Roopak. You're the mafia.
Hridaye has not worked with Bang Bang. I just met Hridaye. Okay.
Yet.
Hridaye Ashish Nagpal is an award-winning filmmaker who began in advertising before moving into long-format storytelling with an Amazon docuseries. One of India's early filmmakers to explore AI-led visuals, he co-founded Gobo Labs, an AI creative studio that works with brands to create AI-led storytelling, which was later acquired by Invideo. Today, he leads creative strategy at Invideo, shaping filmmaker-first AI tools focused on cinematic craft. Tarika Gulabani is the managing partner at Dentsu India, leading Dentsu AMP, a video-first content engine designed for speed, scale, and performance in today's always-on marketing landscape that has AI-assisted workflows to optimize efficiency across the content lifecycle. With a background spanning Z, Star, Sony, and as a co-founder of TVA, the Voice Authority, she now drives future-ready creative systems for renowned Indian brands where human creativity leads and technology accelerates outcomes. And last but not least, to my right, we have Prateek Arora, who is a pioneering Indian AI artist and filmmaker, widely regarded as a key figure in Indo-futurism. Early AI works helped catalyze India's AI art movement, and a full edition of works from his solo show Rocket Gunj was acquired by the Kiran Nadar Museum of Art, marking a significant moment for AI-led contemporary art in India. And I promise you I'm not doing this on purpose, but Prateek, his day job, is Vice President of Development at Bang Bang on our long-form content side. Okay?
We've all made some money from you, bro.
If it helps, when I started off as an intern, I emailed Bang Bang. As my first
hire
place,
this
it never
one,
worked
bro.
out. So that's why I went and started Supari, I guess. So we all have some
You created your own
connections.
competition. You could have hired him in.
Good I've seen
Eliminated.
is, this is like a very gorilla, like even the cups are yellow.
I know. Yeah, so my name is Roopak Saluja. I am the moderator for today. I am the founder of Bang Bang, which is a commercials production company and also a company that is producing long-form content between Mumbai, LA, and London. I'm really pleased to be here moderating this panel because obviously this is a topic that is front and center, and quite honestly, I've spent 90% of my time on this very subject over the past 6 months, so I don't think I could have discussed it more, but here I am discussing it more. We're talking about artificial intelligence, which is essentially enabled by machines and code, etc. But let's start on the other end of the spectrum. I want to understand when someone says AI in advertising, what's the emotion it sparks for you guys? Let's just start from the top.
See, when I was a naysayer when it started, like, so being a creative person, and also I think I'm the last, I would have not imagined myself in this panel like 9 months back because I was anti it. I was like, being a creative person somewhere where emotions are a lot more important than anything else. We are emotional people. Like, I think that creativity is born out of emotions. And then we got a brand called Kotak. And post that, see what it started doing to me, because of the scale of work was really high over there. And for us, actually, AI did scaling up. It was not actually achieving excellence, which I've seen in a lot of work. It was actually excellence. For us, it was scaling up. It was a great tool to engage where, like, for example, like the film that you guys seen, we made it in 3 hours. It was made in 3 hours from because the brief was to make a post for Raksha Bandhan. The brand put a post, like a social post. We said that would have taken 3 hours. We said no, we'll make a film in 3 hours. So I was like, wow. So that was I think that's the possibility it offers. Where I was not dissatisfied, I was wowed by the speed of it, by the fact that first 6 months were just the wow of hey, it can happen. So AI, to me, I think it's a long journey ahead. We've just kickstarted something really exciting that's going to happen. I hope we use it for not scaling up, because scaling up is becoming the word to go, and use it for creative excellence. If we start using it for creative excellence, the kind of stuff that we've seen, it can actually go somewhere else.
Akshat, what about you guys at Kulfi?
Mhm.
What's the emotion? Because I know that you've put out, I can remember personally at least 2 pieces of work
Yep.
which stand out
Yep.
in a way. So what's the emotion and how do you feel about it like now?
So
compared to when you were-
interestingly, I think experimental. I think the emotions that I associate with AI and advertising is uncertainty, revolution, and experimentation. So, in fact, a lot of the stuff that you've seen is not commission branded content.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that we've been doing just to
And
see.
that's the stuff that's noticeable.
That's the
actually.
stuff
Yeah.
that's noticeable. So it's also freedom to
Yeah.
a certain extent, right? It's exciting. Yet at the same time, it is uncertain, right? Because I think people just don't understand what the future holds. We as Kulfi just want to be prepared because I don't think you can be ignorant about it. I think AI as a revolution is a tool, something, and we were talking about, Tarika and I were speaking about it earlier as well. I think it's like when the revolution with Adobe happened, right? There were so many tools that came out. There was Photoshop suddenly, Illustrator, there was After Effects, so many softwares. And we've had these revolutions happen. And I think at one point people are skeptical about it, then forced to adopt it, and then are enabled by it. So I think we're at that stage where we're excited, like I said, to look at how we can create content better. But at the heart of it, I don't think it can, and the word that I think you'll hear a lot today, replace humans, right? Because at the end of the day, I feel it's a tool. It can't replace taste. It can't replace accountability. It can't replace judgment. And I feel as creators, we're just going to get more empowered to create content, but taste and like he was saying, emotion, right? I think that is something that AI can't do. That will still come from the prompter, right?
Right. Dharam, what about you? You guys, I mean, I have to say, watching that, I've seen it when it came out.
Yes.
When you
Yeah,
put it
brilliant
out,
film.
I felt really uneasy watching that guy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how, I mean, you transcended that whole emotion
Yeah.
bit and it worked. So, how do you feel about it?
Yeah. Well, talking about that work, that we did that 6 years ago, much before
What?
any, much before any
Crazy.
LLMs, and of course there are lots of sort of day and night labor, but there was use of AI really, really early. If you remember, there were lots of sort of image manipulation apps that started sort of Gen AI back then. Playing around with models and sort of proper LLMs and platforms is something that we've started adopting now on jobs. But I think the biggest thing that any technology enables us as filmmakers, as somebody who make commercials, is the ultimate freedom. Something that we can do between 3, 4, 5 of us in our office, and we don't have to depend on anybody else, and do it at the level and scale that is hopefully world class. And I think that's really the most empowering factor about this technology, because I mean, my joke to myself, everybody, anytime anybody says that, yeah, AI ye nahi kar sakta hai, and my point is, yet, just add the word yet to it. And we are very excited with that prospect. How we'll use it, how things will unfold going forward, we don't know yet. But I think if you're curious about it and you're willing to sort of dive in without judging it, it's extremely exciting. That's
Nice. Thanks. Yeah. Shai, how do you feel about it? What's the emotion?
So I feel like AI has definitely like democratized the whole process of filmmaking. I mean, it definitely offers us a lot of freedom in terms of creating different things. Like even in terms of my process, like at Jungle, when I put something together and I want to actually create like a storyboard or a mood board, like I use AI in a way to see what more could it give me. And it actually gives me, it's like it's an amazing portal, right? Because it can take something that I've not imagined into a different space, and we can almost go down like a rabbit hole in that sense. But I feel like at the end of the day, whilst we use the LLMs to like experiment and build things, the intelligence is very much our own. Because at the end of the day, every artist is an artist because you have something unique to say, right? But I mean, we just have to ask ourselves as storyteller, is there something unique you have to say? And then use AI to obviously amplify that voice.
Shakun, I mean, your work is out there.
So I think for me, it's storytelling beyond budget restrictions. And I think all of us as filmmakers have always had that one job where you wish you had more budget. Sometimes there's a script which requires budget to really go out there and make something great out of it, right? Sometimes it's emotional, it's across a table and you can do a good job, doesn't require a budget. So even if you look at the collaboration I did with Google, which is that car chase, I'd never shot a car chase in my life. right? I'm used to shooting actors in a room, performances, chemistry, dynamics. And so when I first started out, I was just curious to see if I could make a fun car chase for myself. And honestly, I playing in between other shoots. So I kept doing this over 2 months. And I have to say, like that's when, and I'll be lying if I said I wasn't nervous as a filmmaker trying it, because I was like, this is too good, and this would require a huge crew otherwise. But I have to say, then the idea was to not get scared and run away, but to be like, let's lean into it, because if you really want to understand it, the only way is to get into it, understand it, and see what it does well and what doesn't do well.
Right. This Google collaboration. I mean, we're all collaborating with Google. The only difference is Google doesn't know. So
It is an
in your
official
case-
Google collaboration
tell us
because
about it.
BO3 was just coming out.
Right.
And I was doing early tests and I showed them and they were like, let's collaborate and do something with it.
Nice. And is that a long-term partnership? Or?
So we've done 2 pieces for them. We plan to do a couple of more, but honestly, it's a very fun experiment idea. Like, hey, let's just do things. And I think they've been very open in terms of just letting us do whatever we want to do.
So what, you get VO5 and VO6 and VO7?
No, we do get early access. Like I think most people on this table who are creators do get an early access to something, but it's not that we are working on tools that are not out there.
Speaking of tools that are out there, Hridaye, so I mean, it's almost when you're so strongly associated with the 2 letters, it's almost like, okay, what am I asking about the emotion? But actually, since you are
Right.
so connected to it, and that's kind of almost become your professional identity, I guess. How do you feel? Like, I almost feel weird asking you how you feel about it, but how do you feel about it?
When I think about AI and advertising, I mean, it's kind of like playing off what everybody else said, because it holds true for me too, right? I was a skeptic first, and then I saw that there's no hiding from it, and I jumped straight into it. And now that I play with it, and now that I'm at a place that builds the tools that make these things, I'm hopeful, honestly. I feel like when I was just directing ad films, the scripts that were coming along, maybe just to me, but like I feel like even the ads that I saw on TV were a little safer, and were getting safer and safer and smaller and smaller. And I'm hoping this sort of unlocks every single writer and every single agency to be a little more freer with their ideas, because at the end of the day now, as you said, budgets don't hold us back. Only our ideas do. So I'm quite excited and hopeful that we see bigger ideas that push creators and brands in places that they did not think they could go in.
And do you feel any different about it, positively, negatively, even now that you are part of?
No, I don't. Actually, I feel extremely positive about it,
Yeah.
actually, because you can see that everybody is trying to build tools that the creator will want to use. I don't think any engineer out there is trying to build something which where someone just pushes a button and you have like the best ad or the best film created instantly. From whatever my insight that I have gotten in the last 2 or 3 months of me being a part of this, is that everybody is constantly trying to figure out how artists think and how they can make these tools more easily acceptable to the artists at the end of the day, and make it fit their workflows.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Tarika, how long has it been since you've been part of Dentsu?
About 4-5 months now.
Okay. And what's the emotion you feel about AI and advertising? And is it any different post being a part of Dentsu or when you were TVA?
So we've gone from being really scared of AI to realizing that, oh my God, this is magic, because we've never seen you just type in words and something comes up, right? So then we went from scared to magic to now it's just become an enabler. It's become everybody has a companion. You are getting things that are repetitive in nature out of the way. It's essentially buying back your time. You are able to do things much faster, which otherwise would have taken you so many hours. And that is all on the content which is not yet produced side of things. So it really buys back time. You have more thinking time. So I think it's a voice for your imagination, and it's an enabler, and it really expedites your speed. That is the role that AI is playing across the entire chain, right from ideation to strategy to development, production, post-production, it's applicable everywhere and we're making such strong use of it right now. So we've gone from scared to, अरे ये साथी तो चाहिए ही.
It's been that rapid, has
It's
it?
been that rapid.
I just love how we all sound like we're part of a cult.
I know, really.
We were scared at first, but
with the
then we
red pill.
embraced it. Now we love it.
Fact.
Yeah.
Will I be surprised? Okay,
Little
go on,
bit,
tell
little
me.
So like I came into this because I'm a big science fiction fan, and I was really struggling to get across the kind of science fiction I think could come out of India. There weren't a lot of references. There have been some really cool Indian sci-fi films for sure, but I think there hasn't been enough. And what that led me to do is that let me just use Instagram as my mood board. So you could kind of get people to buy into like a more ambitious vision earlier in the process, and I think that's valuable for advertising, film, fashion, everything. So I think that's been a really good use. What it's also done is that a lot more voices have joined, let's say, the ecosystem of creators. We've gone from being, let's say, the definition of an artist or a filmmaker or a creator in India has been widening rapidly since at least the dawn of the internet. It kind of really hit like escape velocity at YouTube. And I think with AI, it just kind of went so wide. So the actual logistical barrier to becoming a creator, and I think echoing what Shai said, but also perception-wise, who is a creator has widened. So as a result, it's been 3 years of really interesting pop culture evolution. I mean, we've all seen those reels of like the monkey vloggers and the babies giving interviews. And so there's so many new cultural primitives that have just joined Indian pop culture. And I think culture is more interesting for it, right? It's great because all the good stuff comes out. But then there are bad actors in every ecosystem. So there is also a very serious problem of just borderline weaponizing this technology to just like algorithmically push out hundreds and thousands of hours of content, overwhelm everyone, right? Which is why there's such a strong backlash against this whole idea of AI slop. Hence the long way to say, which is why I think I'm cautiously optimistic, but mindful of some very thorny questions that just we need to all talk about.
And we'll get into those thorny questions for sure, because that's sort of, I think that will save for after the break, because that's a very big part of it, and a lot of stuff that I hadn't thought of, which suddenly I'm kind of face to face with. But just coming back to the emotional side of it, the other part of it is, look, we've all been around with these tools for some time, but like, what surprises you now? Does anyone want to share something that's like really surprising? Yeah.
The surprising thing, I think, is how, I mean, lifelike and all, I think is table stakes. So I'm saying, forget that. All right? We've moved way past that. And I feel guilty with such a minimal effort, you get that quality of output. It just blows my brains that, it's so goddamn good, And of course, it comes with all caveats and the ethical issue. There is this incredible amount of freedom if you have a strong vision to get such specific cultural nuance right. And it keeps getting better every single day,
Do you think that result was because there was something extra done in the prompting? Or
No,
was it
I
just...
can assure you
No,
that
it's
the
doing,
prompt
like,
was
it's really good now.
super average
Yeah,
intelligence.
in terms
Matlab,
of the-
super average prompt.
Yeah. Super
Matlab,
average, okay.
it's there is no, I'm saying lesser than 20 words. You get such a specific...
Yeah, I think prompt is no longer the most.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because
really.
Prompting
ChatGPT
is,
and
I think
Gemini
those
is
are
doing the
all
prompting.
table
Yeah.
stakes.
So like when AI started, everyone was like, prompting is going to be the hardest thing, and only if you can prompt, you will get a result.
Correct, exactly.
Everybody on this table has used the tool
Yeah.
and knows it's not the prompt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They are giving you a prompt. You can read into it. You can lean into it. You can improve it. But it's your intention of what you want to do with it. If you can be clear about that, which honestly most people who are educated and are storytellers know. If you know what you want to say, if you know what you want to feel, if you know what you want it to look like, the tool will take you there, right? So I think look and feel at some point is not going to surprise you. And I think we are maybe just a year away where most people will be able to create something good looking.
Yeah.
And I think good looking will not alone do the job.
Won't suffice.
Then the engagement and storytelling will come back to its roots.
Yeah.
And can you hold my attention beyond just 3 good looking shots? What has happened over the years is our writers have been made to shrink the imagination for the budget. Right? So you used to write on top of a hill, this, and then somebody said, dude, you can't do this. So you're like, on top of a building, no, you can't do this. He's looking down the window.
In my house.
And now I feel, and this is my conversation with a lot of people that I work with. Hey, just go back. Just forget the budget. Forget how you used to think. So it's almost more interesting now to find writers who've never written for a studio or a producer, who are still free.
And so, what do you think the implications are for advertising in that respect? Are you guys finding like a big shift? Anyone, like compared to say 2 years ago when these tools were you were approaching these tools cautiously. Now they're part of your workflow. So has that really had an impact?
Yeah,
Azaz?
see, apart from say filmmaking, what we are doing is like to make a poster, right? And like the team used to take 4 hours, 5 hours. Now we have created a system with E2E, which is emailer to emailer. So what happens is the client just sends a mail that says A3 headline brief and whatever, and the client gets a poster made in 5 minutes.
With no
Layout,
human intervention?
everything, nothing, no, so no human interaction. Email goes, client gets a poster in 5 minutes, no team involved.
So why do they need to come to you for that?
No, so what we do is, see, you still need what we call a QC guy, which is the quality check. So they do the quality check, things can go wrong. So that bit is still like, so see, the doubt in technology is still there, right? But the technology is, I think perhaps it'll go away once we'll have many more proof of concept, many more years of that. One very interesting thing that happened with me with AI was I was directing a film where it was about one like homemaker for some tea which is added caffeine, so it can give you energy, etc. No, classic brief. So a homemaker turning into a superhero. That was the brief. Okay. And I was like, how do I show? And she's whatever daily shows she's doing, she has to have like, she's like Flash.
Right. Yeah.
So she has to have those images around and all that. So obviously I went on AI, figured out 2 minutes result. I made a film which is with using AI and with the homemaker, and the kind of camera angles it was giving me, the movements it was giving me, it was what is used in any of those movies. Client was like, no, you have to shoot it. We ended up being in a Lucknow house, which is rooms are very small. I couldn't put the camera where I wanted to put. So if you actually see the AI film, it's a lot better than what I shot.
So
Like,
why did the
10 times.
client want you to shoot it? Did they have
wanted
an
it has
aversion
to be like, it should look.
wasn't-
See, it's still AI. It's so perfect in terms of face wise that they think and connect
it.
you.
The
You
natural
you not
yeah,
connect with
yeah,
the with
texture,
the
etc.
with the
Yeah, yeah.
character.
Yeah.
But apart from the camera angles, the movements, the effects, outstanding. And then again, like
They also wanted to give feedback on set.
Yeah.
They couldn't do.
yeah. So for once, I was like, why am I shooting?
Yeah. No, but in a way, you used it as previs,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Do the shot
And
and the
that's
prompt.
the scary thing, the non-creative client who loves being creative, who's making a film on GPT and be like, follow this.
Yeah, I hope you
Yeah.
have a
No, but this
question
is
on
literally
client feedback.
This is
Yeah, yeah,
literally
for
built
sure.
a journey. I mean, when we started out with Gobo and we were knocking on doors, literally the first meeting we had, someone asked us what is AI, and then I think just the meeting before the whole Invideo thing happened, we had the agency send over their version of the film to us, which they've completely made already.
Well, that's a great segue into actually something which I wanted to touch upon. Is like, what's pissing you off these days as far as this goes?
I think
Client
this
feedback.
lack
Yeah.
of education, and like there's always been on the other side lack of education on the creative process to begin with.
Yeah.
It's like we keep telling them it's a stack of cards. If you have to make a change, it'll go back to the base. The cards will fall. So initially, when we started doing a lot of experimentation with AI for branded content, it was that we. So for those who've dabbled, character consistency at least a year and a half ago was very tough. Now it's become much easier. But they were like, nahi yaar, I don't like this guy, ka shakal acha nahi hai, uska change kar lo. So that was the situation. I feel there's just on the other side, two things that are going to happen. And like Shakun said, I think one is they will feel because it's so democratized now that they are creators as well, which is, I think, fine. And I think that's great. But that's where taste comes in, right? And that's where experience comes in. And I think that's where that's what differentiates certain artists from other artists. I'm not saying that creativity can't come from their end, But I think that lack of respect, that lack of belief, that lack of trust, saying that, okay, they're doing this because they have a certain taste. They've hired you because of a certain taste, right? But just the lack of education around how things work, how things can be turned around, how things just generally function, I think that is yet to be sort of tested. So that's something that I think needs to happen between brands and us.
I think what's happening, one more thing with brands, because just the perception, अच्छा AI है तो जल्दी हो जाएगा, AI है तो इतना cost क्यों है? So just these kind of perceptions without actually understanding that what really is the process. For example, if you're talking about production, right? There's an entire process and there are like 10,000 things involved. So is the case with AI. So is the case with whatever we are generating, whether it's an output or whether it's a brief that we're working on which is at a pitching stage. So I think a little bit of undermining of how much effort, irregardless of whether, yes, does it bring speed to the table? Absolutely. But does it bring speed to the table कि अभी दिया है 2 दिन में दे दो 2 घंटे में दे दो? Wow, 2 दिन. That would have been amazing.
That's because he delivered a 3-hour project, bro.
He's spoiling this.
So, just crunching that entire, I'm still in the 2 din mein de do wala time. But and that's how fast AI has really evolved. But just the understanding on the other side that how fast is really fast and actually what's the effort that goes behind it. So right now we are in a parallel stage where yes, we are implementing and scaling up our entire processes, and AI definitely is a backbone, but there are downsides to it also. And at the same time, when it's related to the brands, we really are also acting as educators and bringing them up to speed on what really is the technical process, because they know it as a concept, but we are really who are operating the concept. And that I believe there is a certain gap.
No, I think it's really important. I think the responsibility lies with us. Yes, you have to just close your eyes and grit your teeth and get through it. I'm getting serious. 15 years ago, कुछ viral करते हैं vibes. It's that kind of thing, basically.
Honestly, what we were constantly trying to tell all the clients that came to us was that don't come to us with a script that you were trying to make in live action and then you couldn't make it, so abhi AI mein banate hain. Because the expectation of the output was always what they were going to get with live action itself. What we tried to tell them was that when it's an animated film, you kind of write for that. You should be writing for the AI medium. I do think that maybe in a year or two, it might just become indistinguishable, but till it does, I think they need to understand what the strengths of AI are and then figure out a script that plays into that versus just write anything and be like, isko aise banao.
Yeah, true. Because see, I think the biggest problem, I think, why should AI, like if real actors, like the way we make films, two people talking in a room, something which is emotional, romantic happens, why do we need to make that with AI?
Yeah, I was
It
just
happens
thinking
now.
to come to
It
that.
happens
Exactly.
now. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Let's use AI for creating like the kind of lots, like I love that film for Bhima, like those shots are slightly abstract, right? You can actually create things which are not possible,
Conceivable.
not achievable. Use AI for that. Like whatever Shakun did with those car chases and all that, it's one of the toughest to create a car chase, like putting a camera right under. Now you can put it anywhere in the Renault and shoot it.
Yeah.
Use it for that. Don't tell the agency that hey, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, use AI, make a film, and so I think that's where the biggest worry I have with AI entering and creating films which we don't need to do.
It's unnecessary.
Real value in a crew coming together and contributing, and there's value in an actor reading a script and interpreting because of his life experiences,
Oh, absolutely.
which I just don't think you should do with AI. Sure, once in a while, but I think those are going to be very personal choices going forward. I think there'll be filmmakers who will choose to do it this way. I'll just tell you, I just met this Philippine filmmaker, AI filmmaker, 21-year-old, made a film set in Varanasi. And he said, well, I would have never been given a budget. I would have never been to India. I would have never. So there is performance, there is emotion. And he was a real serious contender for the Billion Summit $1 million award. And when you meet a filmmaker like that, you understand that there will be filmmakers who will do everything on AI because they just will not want to wait for the resources to come 10 years down the line.
These are the AI native filmmakers as well,
Exactly.
right? They
And
never
you
held
and
a
I
camera,
have this
never had
purist
interest. Yeah.
conversation, traditional conversation, but these kids are growing up on this medium. So, you know, it won't be the same conversation 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
I think it will have its own space. It will have its own pool, sort of. You know that these are AI films, and you will watch them for AI films that there are. For example, when we've gone from OTT, we've gone from TV, microdramas really became big. But people watched microdramas in the vertical format for the format itself. So I do believe even AI filmmakers, Shakun, like you rightly said, there are going to be filmmakers, but you're going to watch the movies for that craft. Because like I said,
Yeah.
AI is the voice to your imagination. And going back to the conversations, that the script writers, the screenwriters really have so much imagination, and now they really do have a tool and voice to जितना डिटेल में सोच सकते हो सोचो, and there is an output that will be possible because of your words.
Right.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of like emotional depth also that an actor would bring and that a director also brings like in that moment. And I feel like even today, like we still can't really truly achieve that. I mean, I know Hriday's the expert in this, but I still feel that's something that's missing. But then on the other hand, like I'll give you all an example. We are shooting a celebrity, and as you all know, these celebrities have 7 hours, 8 hours, and then they just have to run off. And there are like 3 or 4 action shots that are left, but then, you know, the celebrity's time was up because they took so long to change, etc., whatever. And they go. So the client is now, hey, just shoot it with a double and just replace the face in AI. And initially I was in shock. I was like, no, how can we do this? Like, because I'm a purist, I'm like, no, he has to do it himself. He has to get up on the wires. We have to do it like in a certain way. And then the more that I think about it, like the reality is that they're not going to get the celebrity another day. So maybe like I should just embrace it and make it work, right?
So did you?
It's in process. I'll give you the verdict.
The celebrity
But
is
yeah.
watching this, he didn't do it.
Sorry, I'm just-
because they won't charge you
Yeah.
separately for it.
I'm just going to go to Dharam and then come to Prateek.
Yes, I just wanted to share a perspective and just looking at it from a different lens. I mean, in India, first of all, anything that's cheap and fast, you know how crazy it gets in terms of the adoption curve on
SST.
stuff like that. Yeah. Whether you call it slop or whatever you call it, that is inevitable. Most now, and I'm going to talk from the context of advertising only, not sort of content created for art or whatever other person. Advertising is content created for a purpose. Most advertising content today is performance driven. Does it work? Doesn't work? Change the background color, change the font, I'd say sort of more than half of all content created today is very strongly performance driven, whether it is films or static or stuff like that, whatever, across platforms. Those guys are the guys who are going to lap it up these platforms the first. You know, there will be a lot of chaos. There will be a lot of, that's what I feel. There will be a lot of situations from agencies. Agencies will be put under pressure. I'm saying this is all inevitable no matter what we say. This engine is so huge that it is very tough for us to stop that bit. I'm saying if you look at the other pieces, you know, those 5 interesting spots in a year, you know, that's what we all try to sort of create. I think there, the noise is a little lesser. 8 out of 10 commercials might not need live action shoots. Might not. I don't know. You know, of course, I'm generalizing, but point is that if you are clear about why you're using this tool and what you're using it for, then evaluating it from an artistic filter, there should be that sense of reason. You got to be reasonable about it. You know, because clients will say, you know, clients are going to put pressure, whether it's time or money or. I mean, I can feel his pain, but
It's not will, they are already.
They are.
Exactly. Yeah.
trying to be
Exactly.
polite.
are
I wonder
already.
how
I'm
many
just
of,
saying that it's inevitable these
Yeah.
days.
No, totally agree. Prateek, you had a
Yeah, I think
perspective on this?
I think Hridaye said a little bit about this. So even in the non-advertising context, when I've had these conversations, been on a panel, there's such a, I feel like the big part of this conversation is completely missing, which is the recognition that this is, sure, it's a cost optimizer tool or it's a logistics solver tool, and not just in the planning using LLMs, but also replacing certain things you can shoot. But what's really missing, and there are some severe consequences of that which are not positive, is that it's a new medium, right? So sure, it can make something that looks like a live action thing, but it's not a live action shot. That person that we've generated is not a real person. So what's happening, and I think I've seen the ecosystem shift, right? When it was not good enough for production, it was almost more interesting creatively to do this, because then it was just this wild experimental energy, and you had so much variety in the kind of like AI stuff that was coming out of India or wherever. Once it got optimized for production, then it just got super optimized. Now everyone wants to make the but I think what that's doing is two things. One, the understanding of what AI is as a tool has stopped at a level of I can type and it'll just give me what I want. So as a result, there's not enough conversation and, let's say, content about the process of creating in this medium. And what that's done is that the lack of conversation or content about process has been equated with a lack of process. So people think there is no process in here. They're like, ek prompt dalo mil gaya, right? So what that's done is a lot of people have become, let's say, guarded or anti it. They think there is no creativity in it. So a lot of really capable creators are not trying it because they're like, isme main kya karunga?
I see what you're saying.
Because they haven't found a way to understand it as a creative medium, and which is fine. It happens with every new medium. But that's also severely limited the imagination for a lot of people of what they can do with it. So like there's a good example of this. Let's say when I moved to Mumbai initially and YouTube was exploding, right? And digital video had enabled this explosion. And so let's say when inexpensive digital video became a thing using, let's say, I think the DSLR shooting
550D.
five whatever, or like then the 5D,
5D.
Yeah.
big explosion, right? So imagine if we had thought that the DSLRs are only a good replacement for film, you would not get YouTube. So generally with new mediums and new creative technologies, I think two things happen. One, they get slotted into creative production of the current paradigm, where they become cost optimizers, logistics solvers, etc., etc. Two, which is in the long term potentially more exciting, is that they spawn all new kinds of cultural constructs, primitives, formats, genres. So let's say if someone had decided, if there was a regulatory body said you can only use DSLRs to shoot films as they look today, you would never get a vlog or a react video or all of the diversity of formats on YouTube would never be born.
Actually, it's a great point, because that's a good segue into rethinking. What is the role? Let's start with various parts of the entire ecosystem. What is the role of the agency going forward in the next, let's give it a time horizon. Let's give it 24 months. Or should we say 36 months?
Again, I think borrowing from Shakun and others, that see, there was a time when we used to shoot on cans, right? And suddenly digital came, and every cinematographer was hating it. Right? People were in love with can, like, and then we were like, retake. Then Vinyl Matthew came and with like, make 35 short takes for one, because it was digital.
Yeah.
We could retake. What it did was it improved the quality of creative. With cinema, with cans, we were like, we have to, because otherwise cans will get over.
Yeah.
I think
And each can costs 11,800 rupees plus processing. Plus.
But there was a lot of then resistance to digital, shifting to digital. A lot of cinematographers were not liking. Few were, and remember those days. Perhaps the variety and quality of creative can really improve in storytelling, because now in 35 lakh you don't really have to have one room, two people. You can go anywhere.
But there's enough innovation happening on the creative side, right? And that will continue to happen. Is there enough innovation happening on the format? In the sense that, as Prateek was saying, like new formats, new ways of engaging with audiences, right? At the end of the day, brands want to be where audiences are, right? Instead of, that's been the case for some time. So audiences are so many different places.
So a couple of things. I think he encapsulated beautifully. I think it is definitely a new medium. And to answer your question, the second question first, I think advertising in general always takes a couple of years to catch up to that medium, right? Because it is so avant-garde, it's so new. It always takes a bit, in my opinion, for advertising to reach.
Because brands are conservative?
Because brands don't know whether it's going to work or not. They have limited budgets. And I also listen, how much of a brand bashing we can do. I get it from their perspective as well.
Yeah.
They have, ROIs to be met, targets to be met. They're in the business of trying to make sure that their product sells. And they are answerable. They can't keep experimenting. So there will be a time and place for that to happen as well. For me, the first question that you asked, what roles do we play as agencies? I think that's very interesting. And here, I think, ironically, I feel like nothing changes. Okay, because for us, we are going to have, like everybody on this table has spoken about, different revolutions that have happened over time. The biggest role that we have to play, I think, is for ourselves, is to adapt and evolve. Because if you don't, you'll be left out. But at the same time, if you see the things we've spoken about, I think it's the agency needs to hold hands, the brand's hands, and just advise when to use AI, when not to use AI, when to go back. Like all of us have spoken about it, right? There's a time and place for it. So I don't necessarily think our role as an agency would change in the sense. I don't think AI, like I said in the beginning, is going to replace the way we work. Because there will be a time and place where you will still want to go and do that live action shoot, which requires it. There will be a time and place a brand may require for you to use AI to scale the amount of content that you require to produce. Our role as an agency will try to figure out when AI fits into the model that the brand requires. That's about it. I don't think it's going to completely replace the way we work, or we become a three-man person, and we're going to completely change the way advertising looks in the next couple of years, at least for me.
I think a little differently on that point. I feel like maybe, I mean, obviously 12 months was a joke. I do think that like, say in a couple of years, maybe 3, 4, you're going to have multiple, because like Shai said in the start, right? It is going to democratize everything. And right now, I would say it hasn't yet, because still to get onto most of the tools, you have to still pay a lot of money. But as open source spreads, and even like how phones became damn cheap at some point for everybody to have a smartphone, I think that happens to AI as well. And when that happens, the gatekeeping of knowledge just goes into the dustbin, right? And right now, most of these agencies have been built on that, have been built on gatekeeping experiences, gatekeeping knowledge. And I think that just goes out of the window. And when that does, I'm not saying it replaces the people that are in advertising. It replaces how advertising functions for sure. Because then suddenly now you don't need to just go to a particular agency who has a particular creative and a particular sense of a particular set of knowledge. You could just randomly get a call from someone in UP, and they've been putting out some epic content, and they have some great ideas and even a good sense of how to distribute this idea through AI.
So then what's the agency's role in that? Are they
I
the
think-
curator or the aggregator?
So here, at least at Dentsu Amp, and at least with the coming of AI, what we're really trying to solve is what is the brand's problem, what is the use case scenario, what is the game today. Like you said, all of us have moved to our content consumption patterns, which are so high, and brands want to meet audiences where they are. Audiences today are on their mobile screens, where the mainline budgets were supremely high. We've seen just in the last 2 years, 3 years, the budgets on digital have become more than 50 to 70% of their marketing spends. Brands would create 5, 6 ad films in a year. Today, brands are creating 2 ad films in a year.
Tell me about it.
And scaling up on social, right? So, the problem that we are really trying to solve is social is not one of the funnels for the brand today. It's not a middle of the funnel game for them. It's not bottom of the funnel game. In fact, it is an always on main gig for them, which is a full stack funnel.
Absolutely.
And that's where they want to have conversations every day, because there is so much content out there. There's so many brands out there. How does one brand stay in the mind of the consumer consistently every day without out of sight, out of mind?
100%. I mean, the largest advertiser in the country, which continues to be so, which is Hindustan Unilever, the social piece is the main piece now. And
Absolutely.
earlier it used to be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
accessory,
yeah.
the
That's
auxiliary
but
piece.
and if I could just go back to the point there that you were saying, and I think it's like history repeating itself. Firstly, I believe less is more. It's gonna get to a point, and like Prateek said, like it's just gonna be fatigue. Always on is not going to be a concept in the next 5 years, because people are going to put their phones down if you're always on. You need to put out the pieces, in my opinion, that really connect with your audiences, because brands, I mean, look at all of us today, right? We're looking at content that's going to stand out because it's so democratized. The negative side of it is there's so much content out there, right? So the positive of it is that the ceiling isn't coming down, the floor is rising. So the quality of content that kind of needs to be made better to capture your attention now needs to be better. So we keep evolving as the technology evolves. We don't tell the brand that these same 5 people can do whatever your requirements are. And like Prateek said, AI is a new medium. Now, if you see the funny side of things and how we are evolving as a brand at Kulfi, we reached a stage where we were working with 75 brands at one point. Okay. But it got tiring because we were just like, we're just doing a ad hoc project. We're not really understanding strategy for the brand. What will push the needle for them from an advertising standpoint? What are their business problems? What is the consumer problem? We're just doing one ad, saying bye, and then meet them again 1.5 years later on a pitch, which is free, by the way. But that has changed for us. We are saying, and you may see this, and this is my prediction, we are saying let's go deeper with brands. Okay, let's select 8 brands. Let's understand the problem that you have. Give me your 3-year horizon. What's your plan, right? What's your business problem? What's your consumer problem? Why is the consumer not, using your service or product? And then sooner or later you realize that one piece of content is not the is not the jigsaw, the puzzle that's going to complete it. It's a massive game, right? So today we're going deeper with like a Spotify, with a Crocs. We've taken 3-year, 4-year mandates, trying to understand how can we build culture for you. And we are going back, ironically, to the traditional structure of going deeper with a brand for a longer time relationship. The difference is here is that we're not forcing brands to work with the 18 people on retainer. So this copywriter will write for South also, this copywriter will write for North also, this guy will do this also. It's not that. It's like building a PC. We're getting custom teams to service whatever your requirement is because you should get the best. So in my opinion, yeah, that one ad hoc Varnasi AI guy will come. We'll say, bro, please come into our team, create that. But at the end of the day, branding still, we need to understand in advertising from a landscape perspective, we have to, because there's so much noise, brands are going to need to have a partner to get deeper, to understand what the consumer and the business problem is and really see it out from a 36, 48, 50-month horizon and try to actually. So in my opinion, history kind of repeats itself. So we will see hopefully a lot more brands just being like, hey man, you understand me now. Yeah, these are the 4-5 things I want to try and do. Let's see, let's give it a 24-month horizon versus just breaking up every like service and doing, I work with AI social over here. I'll do, in-mail advertising over here. I'll do this over there. I think they'll go crazy.
I have an exact opposite of it. I think what we are trying to develop is basically tools agents. So right now we are working on a tool, an agent, which can write from writing a script to delivering the film. No human interaction. Brief will come, and we are just feeding. We are like at all stages. So the way brief will come, 5 scripts will reach the client. Client will say this, tweaks, etc. There'll be human interventions for QC, for quality checks, but 1 or 2, not like a team of 15 and all that. After that, there'll be short breakdowns. On the basis of the short breakdown, there's going to be a PPM docket that will be created, all AI.
There'll be no one at the PPM.
PPM, so PPM will happen.
That's the only place where they'll tell everyone to come. Just want to see faces.
So PPM, there'll be an AI agent who will be listening to everything, and so like a servicing person, right? Who kind of you send that thing. So all, and finally lock the PPM docket. On the basis of the PPM docket, on the basis of the short breakdown, it'll create the film and finally go. That's what we're working on.
We are early years. I think they're going to be experimentation of all kind of models.
Yeah, all kinds.
I think if agencies can do that, eventually clients will also do that.
Exactly.
They will build their own they'll train their own agents.
I feel that won't happen. I'll tell you why. Is ultimately advertising the business conversation, right? Every brand guy needs somebody out there to talk to. And I think there is immense value the agency model brings to the entire ecosystem. Agencies are in the business of selling ideas, but I think what it will evolve to is like a studio model. And we are already seeing that with the network agencies. You're seeing what's happening with, right? And
Very much
that's going to affect our lives. Yeah, and I think it's a part of evolution. So it's not just sitting together with the CMO or the brand guy and just talking and coming up with the idea, but it's also getting it made via whatever, by agents or AI, or you have like 4 guys in the corner doing stuff for you, or whatever the thing is, your model is.
Hmm.
But I think ultimately agencies will become studios, or they are already becoming studios.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they will deliver the final output.
That almost makes the next question I was going to ask kind of redundant, because the question I was going to ask is, what is the role of the production company or the production house going
Yeah.
forward, right? And I mean, it's not a fair question to Kulfi because they're both.
Correct.
But for
Actually, that applies to even
and you,
Dentsu
yeah,
Amp. We
Dentsu
are
Amp as well.
30%
Yeah,
agency
exactly.
and 70% content studio.
Right.
In fact, that's where I wanted to echo Akshat's thought. Exactly this, but while he's an independent agency and so were we. But right now, even as a network agency, our strategy has never been shallow and wide. We've always been narrow and deep. In fact, even as a network agency, we have partnerships and we have a cap to it, like 10 to 15 partnerships a year, but we're going to go so deep with those partnerships that we're solving a lot more than just
It's an,
aap meri digital agency or aap meri mainline agency. You're not just doing parts.
it's an official cap, 15.
Not an official cap. I mean, there is, of course, some brands that we will take plus minus, but I'm just trying to sort of define a range. Like, we will not go after 30, 40
Right.
very small retainer clients. We will go narrow and deep. But with our retainer clients, it's not just the content ideation strategy part of it. We ideate and we execute. So right from the brief stage to the final go live and everything in between is managed and completely taken care by us, because we're also a content studio. And that's where I think AI comes in as enabler, and it really expedites the speed because we are also an execution arm.
So how does it work? I'm curious in terms of, is there a limit? For example, you have brand X that's working with you. They do a lot of their content with you, but suppose they want like a flagship hero piece of like
Right. So because a brand parks an entire retainer with you, you are
when you
creating
say retainer, the entire production spend.
entire production. And when I'm talking about a retainer, our retainers are structured very differently. We are solutioning their everyday content needs. So you start right there. Anywhere between 25 to 45 films. And I'm talking about properly produced films. None of them are AI. We're properly producing, and we have our own infrastructure in studios. So you start there. But because you're closely in trenches with them each day, every day, and they end up parking all of their campaign briefs with you, because you know them every day, you're producing content for them every day. So inherently, you end up doing all of their campaigns and then all of the ad films, which is what we've all been doing traditionally. So right from 10 lakh to 10 crore ad films and everything in between. All of that entire funnel of the brand needs also sit with you, because you're solutioning everything across the funnel for them.
Those 10 crore ad films. Okay, so
Where are they?
Where are they? So, no, so exactly.
Do you do them in-house?
So
Because I know a
literally-
couple of good production houses.
No. So this is the story that I tell people. So there's a brand for which we did something which was a very high number, close to that number, a few years ago. Okay, and there was a celebrity, and that celebrity's entourage cost 1.8 crores.
Wow.
Okay. Now, there was a film that was somewhat similar that these guys had a part to play in. Gobo had a part to play in, which I saw a few months ago. I looked at that, and there was, it could have happened for that much. I think I know the budget was around that total budget for that film was the cost of the entourage.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, where the are those going to go now? They're just gone. They don't exist anymore. And if they existed in 2025, in 2026, they're not going to exist.
But I'll tell you, even with AI, I think the entourage will stick around. We'll still be paying entourage.
They'll find a way.
On
They'll find a
celebrity
way.
will come for 2 hours. We'll play entourage, and rest will be AI. So the budgets will still be there.
Like AI agent का बिल आ जाएगा.
So entourage budgets never go down.
Yeah.
I'll take. I'm not as deeply embedded in advertising as, so maybe I've got the benefit of being at a remove slightly. I think what we have to sort of remember and we have to situate is that this rapid progression, disruption, whatever you want to call it, is not the only dramatic shift happening in like culture overall, and in the business of culture also. So, for example, attention to your point of like, I don't know who said it's moving to digital spends, like the idea of a spokesperson, for example, is for a certain person under a certain age is not a film star anymore. It's like their favorite creator on YouTube or whatever, right? Running a creative business is extremely entrepreneurial, and they're much closer to the performance of their content. It's baked into the culture of being a creator to look at like metrics and your dashboards, etc. Right? So it's not just I'm a performer and I perform. Rest the world will figure out. The top creators, in fact, are top creators because they've really understood the platform,
Yep.
and ultimately, more and more of attention and then the ability to deliver, let's say, custom pieces to the audience is now resting with creators of who are building their. So now it's become a playbook where if you're a big enough creator, you will build a studio around you. Let's say the extreme example is Mr. Beast, and he's built like he's created a company town. Like I think that town is
Unbelievable.
like he's created like
Yeah.
a one of those steel towns, except the steel there is Mr. Beast's video,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
so there that is happening for everyone, and as much as I think that, and again, this is, I'm sure, I think some VC said this, right? We're always moving between unbundling and bundling. So right now, people feel like attention is coming from various places. So people are trying to go to AI creators or smaller AI studios, but it's very disparate. It will some point get aggregated, but I don't necessarily think the in-house model fully will replace it, because look, in a world that's so noisy, the value of breakthrough creativity is sky high. And that breakthrough creativity is born from risk. And the ability to feel like you can take a risk, and like respectfully, I don't think necessarily a hyper structured corporate culture leads to risk taking, right? You just, it subconsciously incentivizes you from having the craziest idea. So what will happen, in my opinion, and I've been thinking about this from the lens of what does it mean for, let's say, film studios or whatever, right? And I'm not sure if this is exactly accurate, but I feel like music labels are kind of instructive, where, let's say, for the longest time, the cost of production of a video piece was the prohibitive factor in anyone starting. But that's not been the case with, let's say, a music album for a long time. But if you're a musician, you can figure out a way to put some funds
Put your
together and
content
record
out,
an
yeah.
album. Once upon a time, you needed like 100 sessions. Once electronic music and digital audio workspaces happened, that was not the limiting factor. So there was a explosion of all kinds of music. So then the job of the labels became, how do we find the most interesting, highest impact, nurture them, and then make them relevant? So to me, I feel like anyone who's in the business of creativity will find themselves having to move to like a record label kind of model, where you will still need to understand and demystify the market for your roster of talent. So I think maybe for an agency, that might be, who are the 100 creators who are across culture, and we have to give them the insights to produce what they can. But I don't, and sure, there will be some hygiene stuff that happens fully in-house, but I think it'll be very hard to replace this kind of high-risk creative culture that cannot exist in a massive corporation. And you will not be able to work around it because, again, in the saturation of how much content there is, the baseline of what is interesting has gone sky high.
Yeah.
So like to break through, it's harder than ever. And it's increasingly coming from unexpected pockets of new creators, right? So I feel like a record label model is maybe where a lot of large creative companies will have to go.
The irony of it is we are sitting in a recording studio
Yeah.
that once upon a time,
Right.
those were the rooms where composers sat. This is where everyone sang
Musicians
together.
and sang.
right.
Yeah.
And
Who
this
the
is
one?
that recording
no idea.
studio
Wow.
where it used to be done live with like
Yeah.
20, 25
Massive
orchestra
orchestra.
together.
Right.
And now where are they? This
That's
is
right.
a shoot studio.
That's it. That's exactly
And
it.
that's also like where it kind of feels eerie, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a time we could be coming to Mehboob where people shot with a crew of 150 people, and then filmmaking is going to be 10.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what's happened where we are sitting.
Which
we
is
joke,
again.
we joke the next roundtable will be just with our
We
avatars.
Yeah, exactly.
We should just create avatars, do a Zoom call, and they'll be talking.
This is, I love how this conversation is naturally segueing into what I want to ask next. Most people, more than half of the people over here are directors or have directed something. So far, might just be everyone soon. But let's start with you, Shakun. What is, so as a director, and I'm sure you've kind of really thought about this almost academically when you had that first interaction, you're like, holy, I can do this now. So what is my role now? What am I bringing to the table and how do I work with this? So what What is a director's job? What was a director's job? What is a director's job going to be? And how does it change?
Dude, first of all, I think it's so odd to now go to these AI summits and they call you a traditional filmmaker. And you feel like a dinosaur already. Like you're suddenly like, oh shit, I gotta go back and then just like learn more. Because you're already feeling like, am I gonna be irrelevant? Even when you're at these summits, you're constantly like, somebody's gonna just replace me. And it's not gonna be a tool. So tool is one thing. It's gonna be one kid with the tool. What we called a filmmaker earlier was a person who went to set and knew how to work with a crew of 100 people, knew how to spend budget on a set, how much of a set should be made, how to like allocate that budget to create that visual, right? That definition is going to evaporate. Definition is really going to go back, and terminology doesn't matter. Really, what it's going to go back to is, do I know how to tell a story? And I really think that's where we started, right?
Yeah.
It's going to come back to writing. And Billy Wilder, one of my favorite directors, said something amazing, right? He was a writer-director, and he said, director doesn't necessarily need to know how to write a script, but he needs to know how to read a script. And when he said how to read a script, he needs to know drama. He needs to say where the conflict is, where's my rising action, where's the drop. And I think it's going to go back to literally understanding those things. You can understand the tool, everyone will understand the tool. But do I know how do I pique curiosity? Do I know how do I like kind of really play with different elements, lensing, lighting, and how do I keep you leaning in? And I think it's really, I think at some level, we are really going far in technology. And at the same time, it's going to go really back to the basics. Because now everyone can create that. So I'm really, really going back to studying and understanding storytelling. Because I think that's the only moat left in 2 years.
You sound really optimistic, actually. I love it. It's made me feel this is the best I've felt about this.
I think, but what about, let's be honest, what about, like, we were discussing this room, there were musicians and there were singers and choir, and now choir is just you on a Logic Pro tool, and it's going to happen to filmmaking. It is impossible, no matter how positive and optimistic we are, it is going to happen. People will make film with just literally, the two films that, were at the Billion Fest, the film even that won the $1 million thing, it's a one-person film. So, having said that, I think that, as you said, it's a new medium, it's a new format, new kind of storytelling. It's going to happen. But I think the one thing that's going to stay constant is, like, can you tell a story?
Shai?
I think, like, see, as a filmmaker and as a director, what Shakun said, like, it is still the onus of actually roping in your audience and making an interesting story and saying something is still on you. Like, even in terms of craft, whether it be, your angles or how you tell your story or how you pace it and, where you actually give the drop, like, all of that is still the filmmaker's responsibility, even though you're using AI. But I think what is scary is that, when we make films, like, it's such a people process, right? Like, I think one of the things, like, I enjoy the most about filmmaking is actually interacting with my crew, the energy that everybody brings, the collaboration, the ideas, the little mistakes that, just turn into magic. So that's something that I feel like will we miss this. Like, sure, of course, I'll adapt and I'll make, like, something amazing in AI. But I miss the idea of having a crew and having come together and, even if it's just standing around the dolly and having a conversation, I mean, those are the moments that I feel like, I'm scared, like, will we actually lose that, that essence of human interaction?
Just the magic of the set, the energy of a shoot is something you don't want to go away, actually.
I don't think that, obviously there will be multiple teams of one in that sense that will end up making many more that will end up making films like that. But I do think that there will be groups of, like, say, like he said, like teams of 10, 11, 15 maybe, that do sit in rooms and make AI films and do feed off each other's ideas at the
It's
end
a
of the day.
different kind of energy moving,
Absolutely. We've made a bunch of ads, short films with AI at the end of the day, and most of the time it's not just one person. I remember at Gobo the idea was to try and figure out a process that felt like virtual filmmaking, and give everybody the similar kind of roles that we had on set, and that did create that sort of like collaboration feeling when you were creating it.
But just in a room.
But yes,
Like,
absolutely.
if you go out, like, to the streets of Banaras It's
I mean,
a-
you could go there and
you
generate
can-
if you want.
But
You can eat kachoris and smell the smells and
But
hear
you
the
can
sounds
only
and-
do that when you have the budget. And
Exactly.
now
Yeah.
there are so many people with stories who know they will not get the budget.
Exactly.
Right? The
Good
budgets
point.
are shrinking. How
Yeah.
many producers are like, hey, you have a great story, I'll give you the budget. It's more about packaging. Can I trust like this director with this actor and that? And now there are, because of creator economy and YouTube, there are creators who will never come to the producer. They're like, I can do it on my
Yeah.
own.
Exactly.
You know?
It's already happening. See, this
Yeah.
I'm actually quite. I'll take the counter there. I'm more optimistic. I think it is going to really expand filmmakers and filmmaking. I don't think the definition film or the word will go away. I think there'll be just a lot more kinds of filmmakers.
absolutely.
For example, like animation filmmakers are still filmmakers. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Shai, to your point, I've actually been creating in this very siloed way, and it's been such a contrast from the other work, or let's say my day job, where it's very interesting because it's almost like I'm working like a writer, but now I'm working in like an audio-visual medium. The thing that I'm most excited about figuring out this year is how do I take some of this technology to a set? Like just because I want to do it, like you said, right? It's not so much fun to just do it by yourself. I think people want to collaborate, and you will start seeing such a delta in the AI work that is collaborative. I think that 4 people in a room will not feel as lively as 12 people on a set now using AI as this turbocharged VFX kind of technology. Because I think, including going on the streets of Banaras, right? So let's say if I can shoot a feature film with a skeleton crew, almost like a vlog, but then I can make it look amazing, right? I can do character swap. So
Yeah.
I think it opens up so many new
Yeah.
directions of
True.
filmmaking. And again, I find its music and how it's structured to be somewhat interesting is because I think there will certainly be AI video or film pop stars where there's one person, but it's actually not. They will become famous, and behind them will be a studio and a team and execs kind of positioning them. Then there will be film bands, right, where 10 people can do what 100 people can. But something that I've always thought about is that sure, a 100 million film can now cost $1 million, but the people making the $100 million film still have $100 million. So what will they do with that? Which is, so it's like, let's say for the big budget kind of films where it was so rare to have like an Avatar or a Star Wars level film, you might see that that's more common, right? And that will still need that multidisciplinary collaboration of several generations of creatives all bringing their own craft to it. I think the most exciting thing I think this year can start happening in AI is how do you bring everyone who's already been working in this field and then say, hey, I am bringing to the table this new technology, and what do we all collaboratively do with it? So I think that's kind of like an exciting and somewhat optimistic way to look at it, maybe.
I mean, a lot of the models have come out with tools that are going to aid hybrid processes.
Yeah.
Right from like changing backgrounds to, like you said, performance capture, which used to require bigger rooms than this and many more cameras. Now it just needs an iPhone.
Yeah.
So I think that I do think collaboration does not go away. It only.
I think that's where
Just to-
imagination, but bringing in the possibility of collaboration. Yes, there is a lot of content that is shot, and even we shoot everything. But what are the imaginative AI supported elements that we can really bring in? Yes, I'm talking to a mannequin that doesn't even exist, and I know I can put that mannequin into the post and have a human interaction with a mannequin who comes to life and is talking to me. So a lot of which otherwise would have either been a 3D job or VFX and CG.
Yeah.
So
So
again,
Once
imagination.
did a bird dropping. I hate it. I hate bird drops, those things. And I was like, so they used to. I used to see them as bomb blasts. So I actually did that. What I actually see that thing of poop falling and then boom. So I tried that shot. It looked awesome.
Big fan of AI slop. Like, I totally really enjoy it. And I think back to the time. So actually, Prateek, Hridaye and I were in MTV like back in the day.
Nice.
And there was a time where they would just tell us, listen, it's World Music Day, it's Women's Day, it's Republic Day, just go out and do something. And we were like, what do we do? What do we do? We take the 5D, the 7D, open the costume room, open the costume peti, take out something and think of something, stop motion and just go and do it. But now imagine the guys who are sitting there right now, like look at the possibilities. They don't have to do all the stuff that we did. I mean, I cut my teeth and I'm grateful that I learned. But imagine the guys there now. I mean, they can make bunnies and bread and do like all
Which
sorts
is
of
why
things.
slop is ultimately
just-
not very useful because it's so subjective. Like, I love a lot of things that are so funny, but a lot of people call that slop, right? So beyond a point, just the volume of it is one factor, but I don't think slop is useful beyond a measure of volume because you might find something that's not slop very funny, and like we may have like different opinions on that. So I think the street interviews are very funny.
I mean, to me, one of the most exciting things about this technology is marrying this with the kind of culture of people who we are. You know, we always find an amazing hack or a way of doing things like what Prateek does, you know, or like the incredibly funny memes that we see nowadays. They are so funny. I'm just saying that Indians, us as people, we just have this beautiful ability to adopt a technology and just make it our own in such a unique way.
Yeah.
And that possibility,
Make it
when it,
bananas ki chaat.
हाँ मतलब जब वो फूटेगा ना, it is going to be incredible. That content is going to be nothing like anybody.
And I think Prateek encapsulated beautifully, right? It's just it's a new wave. It's a new medium. I don't think it's the way we've consumed or seen content before.
No, but you're right.
And-
Actually, if you see what happened to Instagram about 2 to 3 years ago, when it exploded, and suddenly there was 100 million new people from India who went onto Instagram for various reasons, and you started seeing all kinds of content.
If you saw Instagram and the birth it gave to creators once Geo came in and data got
That's
much
it.
cheaper.
That was it.
And it went into the hands of so many more people.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the content that's coming out. It's insane.
Yeah. But from that point of view, I mean, Sora 2.0 was very interesting as a social platform.
The most amount of work, at least amongst all of us, who's first-hand done is the two of you. I have two questions. One, why is there, apart from the artists and the experts who really have their unique identity and are मतलब अपनी छाप है, अपनी आइडेंटिटी है, बहुत डिफरेंशिएशन है उनके काम में, बट फॉर द कॉमन मैन, व्हाई इज देयर सेमनेस इन एआई? हाउ कैन वी अवॉइड द सेमनेस? What is different? Is it the input? Is it the thinking? What really is different?
I mean, I think that you answered the question, to be honest, towards the end. I think a lot of it comes from the input and the thinking at the end of the day. The person wielding the weapon is where it all starts and stops. I think that at the end of the day, it is all the same because probably the people posting or prompting on that particular tool are not thinking deep enough about what they want to make. And if you just type boy wearing a black jacket sitting on a table, that's not going to be very different from if you really get into what the lighting is like, what the camera lensing is like, who is he, how old is he, did he sleep last night? I mean, all those little details you can add into. And nowadays, what's really beautiful is that yes, these larger models have been trained on a lot of the similar stuff. But different models react to what you type differently. Like we know that Nano Banana has like an LLM at the back end of it, so you can actually expect Nano Banana to be doing a lot of the thinking that you want it to do, and you can just send it in the direction that you want to send it in. Versus Midjourney doesn't have that LLM sitting in the back end of it. It's just like reacting to the words that you are putting in. A good AI creator would know why Kling would give me this versus why VO would give me this, and why Nano Banana is better for this, and why Midjourney is better for this. But I think that's just like based on how many AI hours you've really put into it, and like you spend time with all the different tools.
If I could just interject, I think tools are just an excuse, to be very honest. And I think it goes down to any part of any creation, right? If just like maybe 7 or 10 years ago, like when we were talking about DSLRs coming in, I think people who want to procrastinate will not do it, but people who want to do it will pick up like these new tools and figure it out. I remember when this film Village Rockstar came out, right, about 8 to 10 years ago. It was made in some 7 lakhs. And it was India's official entry to the Oscar at that point, right? So, and at that time, because I was contemplating doing independent films, I've still not yet done my film. There's no excuse for it, right? It's just your procrastination or priority, as simple as that. So, for me, it's the difference, like they said, it's taste. At the end of the day, common man doesn't understand, or forget common man. I just think any creator who's trying AI for the first time, it's understanding taste. The sameness is because it's just what we are also an output of what we consume. We are just consuming the easy image, right? Okay, let's make every portrait of us a Ghibli, studio thing. Trend ho gaya. Chalo, theek hai. That's what you will get, and that's what you will emulate. But like I think Prateek was talking about earlier as well, if you get a collective or you push the artists to do creative work and you start consuming that, that's when you will start seeing a lot more better work from so-called creative / multidisciplinary or whatever, common man, whatever you want to call it.
But the tools and the companies have had a role to play. And I'll tell you why. Again, we can't separate this from the fact that this is happening online. Why AI and the culture around AI creation has scaled so fast is because it's happening in this hyper fast spreading virality algo loop kind of way. So when it was too early for it to be broadly interesting, there was a lot of experimental energy because there was no social or financial reward from doing it. So a lot of intrinsic motivation to tinker, right? Once it got good enough and trends started emerging and trends became formulas, and suddenly people were like, now I can use this to go viral. Now, when that started happening, the company started realizing this is a great growth hack because now everyone wants to go viral using AI. So a lot of the push happened in how do we make this not for, let's say, the people who really want to go deep with the medium, but for the average kind of casual user who, let me put it this way, everyone, I think a lot of people in AI have you thought of it right now like the smartphone camera. I'm interested in who's building the IMAX camera, right? Like, where is the company that is going super deep with like prosumers or like industry people to figure out, okay, as a creator, we want you to test this tool and push it to its limits, right? Like how, I mean, as at some point there will, I hope there's the equivalent of like how Chris Nolan works with IMAX, and it helps him, it helps IMAX the company, and it really helps and enriches cinema as a whole. Because now I think he kind of, they've co-invented a new kind of IMAX camera to shoot dialogue for the Odyssey on IMAX, which was never possible because IMAX camera is so noisy. So I think you need both ends of it. I think specificity is kind of how you get there.
Absolutely.
That without it, it'll just be this kind of clean, polished, which is why, there is an aesthetic to each tool. Like VO3 videos have a certain aesthetic. For trends, that's okay because the people using them to go viral are not doing it for the aesthetic, they're doing it for the idea, which is great. For social content, that's great. But when you do 10,000 of those in a week, then you're lost in the noise, right? So I think we're at that phase where people are starting to figure out, ab viral to nahi ho raha hu main because everyone's doing the same thing. What do I do that's different?
I want to ask you guys because primarily, I mean, our primary focus of this entire conversation has been Gen AI, right? AI is not just Gen AI. There's a lot more to it, and directly there's direct impact on the work that we do in advertising, filmmaking, etc.
The day AI kind of properly merges with any sort of like 3D software like Unreal Engine, Blender, I think the next big wave of creation comes into play. Because that's truly where you'll suddenly have like not just Shakun Batra making a car chase film, but like someone making a game that you can play in minutes with something like that. And that looks real and feels real and has haptic feedback and like all of that stuff because you already have like Gemini and Claude Code coding themselves as well. So
Right.
I think when something like, and I do know for a fact that they all are looking at that as the next wave. 3D meeting AI is going to definitely be where the next
And
big
it's
boom
happening.
happens.
Every week there's a new
Yeah.
update, and it's LinkedIn is your holy grail of finding this
Totally.
where new things are happening. To be honest, and you just fill your feed with that. There are designers who never knew how to make code or to create games are now using different softwares to have that supplemental skill set, and they were good at design but they didn't know how to build games, and now they're building games
Yes.
using AI, right? And apps. I think that multidisciplinary workflow will also happen. All that is happening at such a pace, and people are like really experimenting that I think those applications will definitely happen. And then we as content creators, network agency, content studio have to figure out where does those applications apply for us. People in production know this. Spend time just changing one text from here to here because it's gone from 16:9 to 9:16, right? Adobe and so many other platforms are doing that for you at a click, right? So the exponential power of that, of post-production, of scaling, of figuring out back-end agents and processes, that is going to give birth to a new form of like, again, just a pipeline that we've never seen before.
That one thing, just the application of AI in post-production, we are able to deliver 200, 250 produced films in a month where so many aspects of post-production, it's not fix it in post, it's now AI will fix it in post. Right from costumes being in the most shabbiest state to audio to auto rotoscopy to having seamless transitions from one space to another, and I can just keep going on and on. And all of that, post production has become such a fast paced part of the entire production, all of this itna seamlessly, and this has happened just in the last 1 year.
Well, they call it post is the new pre.
Post is a new
Yeah.
So, like a very strange one that we are trying to like achieve. I don't know if we'll be able to achieve it. It's quite a task. But it's like every device has the front camera and can listen to you, right? But the viewer has to give permission. But if I'm seeing an ad and I want to see myself with my voice in that ad, we are trying to create an option where, like, if I'm watching an ad, I want to see myself as the protagonist, my face, it can be read, put there, my voice can be kind of this, closed, and then, like, as of now, we're trying like 5 minutes. It can't happen real time, but we're trying to figure out if, like, how to reduce that gap. But that's another very interesting possibility of how can using AI you can make things so hyper personal.
Wow.
No, but outside the world of generative AI,
Yeah.
I think at least what we try to do as a production company advertising, we were pitching for a job, I think a month or so ago. 6 celebrities, each with limited time slots, and somebody will come on certain day from X to Y time, and so on and so forth. And then there are 8 scripts, different shots. We just threw all of it, and it just beautifully structured the entire logistics of such a massive production. If you give it everything that it needs and maybe a bit more to give you a much more informed sort of an output, it's just an incredible tool.
Another great tool pitching for to all the production houses. They can take it from us. What we've created is that like PPM docket, PPM discussions are most subjective, right? I don't like the face of the actor. Nobody gives reason why I don't like this cast, why I like this cast. So the way the entire you actually using AI, everything is very objective. Like it's not subjective anymore. So if at all, if you're suggesting two models, so you put the PBM docket in this the tool that we've created. So we like two faces, and we were really wanting to push for that. What it did was it said that this face has come in these serials. Is known for this kind of persona, has got a face look like this, which might look like she's a strong woman and all that stuff. And the other one, she's got a little, the face structure is like this, so she looks a little soft. She's come in these kind of ads. She's performed these kind of serials. So match 82%, whatever, 72%, match 98%.
That's hilarious. I'm going to use that trick. I'll say it's AI, but I'll just give my preference. I'll just say this. And that's a sad
That's the
reality,
right
right?
thing,
Like
yeah.
when you give your opinion, it's so subjective. But AI ne bola 82%, so I'll be like, fine.
But is does that do something? Is that a negative as well? Because I mean, if you go by the Jobsian approach about the audience doesn't know what they want, and you have to give them something different, are you falling into a certain pattern without the surprise element?
See, at the end of the day, the final decision, it's in your hand, whether you want to agree or not. But it's a great tool to kind of see if I'm going wrong, am I going right. It's like asking someone, it's like asking a buddy, like, hey, this is what, an expert rather.
Right.
The negative points come on the human, right? I mean, there were times when we were working with a particular client that was working with an AI analytical tool that was judging the AI ad that we made and was telling us what was right and what was wrong. And literally on the call, they don't have an opinion. They're like, this AI is saying we should start with this shot. And I'm like, then the negative point is not on the AI, it's more on the human who's just
I think
leaning on it.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it is going to happen. It's happening.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
But see, creativity is very subjective, right? You have this human aspect. But like when it comes to marketing, for example, now AI makes your marketing so much more targeted, right? In a way, like the new demographic is actually like subcultures. So like earlier it was just like spray and pray. Now it's like you know exactly who you need to market to. And that's what people are using. Like even for Instagram, for example, like if I want to increase like, the following of my production house, I know I make films about youth and lifestyle, it'll tell me like, it'll send the films that way. So I feel like when you're looking at things that are like, marketing and numbers and things like that, then you could use AI in that sense. But when you look at things like like casting or like, or is it right to open with a wide as opposed to like a close up? That's like, those are creative things. That's
Yeah.
very subjective,
Yes.
Sorry, I was just saying that I don't know, the part of it that kind of feels dystopian is like all of us are trying to please an algorithm. And
Yeah.
like humans aren't trying to please humans because the corporations and corporates want to believe that the algorithm has told them if this is successful or not, right? So now it's a weird thing. It's that we are feeding the algorithm and then it's telling us what we need to do. So then we are doing what we need to do to please it. And it's like this kind of weird cycle. And I think at some point, honestly, and I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. But I think this is in many ways dystopian. And we will have to break the cycle. And as I said, I have no answer for how it breaks, when it breaks. But I think it's going to happen. This is not sustainable in the long run.
Like a lot of, I think there's a camera company, I'm not sure which one, they're actually offering you like an unpolished version of photos because they want the photos to look raw. They want to see the flaws and stuff like that. So it has that texture, because people, they want a break from, seeing everything very synthetic and polished and all in AI. So there will definitely be a shift where people will still have an appetite, for the real, for the tangible, for the organic in that sense.
Also, do you want to connect with 1 million real people, or you want to connect with 10 million that the algorithm has told you that you've connected with? And I think those metrics will change. I think right now the only metric is the algorithm, and I think a new metrics will have to come into play because there'll be so much content that just going, and I don't know, I can't say how that would happen, but
But
yes.
Shakun, मुझे क्या लगता है ना, like for example, like when Google came, there was a lot of conversation about privacy, data privacy and this. Now it is such an integral part of your life, you cannot live without it, right? You do not think about privacy. You just trust it.
But privacy is a myth, and I can tell you that actually.
No, I'm just,
I
no,
met,
but I know, I mean,
I met a person who works with governments training LLMs for countries and cities, and that's what she said. She said, if you think your data is private, you're completely wrong about it.
That's it. Good ads matters. Shut down now. Don't reveal too much, Shakun. It's done.
There is anything that they really want to. If they really want to know what's on your phone, they will figure it out.
They already know.
Yeah, 100%.
So I want to switch tracks now to something that I've spent quite a bit of time thinking about in the past couple of months. So the way I've seen it is that the adoption curve has been reasonably gradual for about 18 to 24 months. And then something happened last quarter. What happened very clearly was stuff like Nano Banana Pro, all these tools solving for problems of consistency and control, and suddenly it was usable in a professional manner, right? My personal estimate is that by this time next year, 70+% of all advertising content will be AI created or AI generated. And I think that maybe I'm being conservative. That sort of got me thinking in terms of, for Bang Bang as a company, we can't really compete with two guys sitting in Starbucks and creating stuff and getting paid, a couple of lakhs or whatever it is. So you start thinking about pricing. You start thinking about our model. Where is it? And we've talked a lot about this over the past couple of hours in terms of traditional production, bringing that in, and using what our strengths really are and creating stuff which has a point of view, directorial talent or talent. Let's not call it director because we don't even know what they're going to be. But the storytelling talent is going to come at a premium. It's going to be about taste making, curating, etc. So I started thinking about that. I started thinking about our resource base, our structure, salaries, people. So I'm really confused figuring it out. I think I'm in a better space today than I was, let's say, mid-December. But what are you guys thinking? I mean, to me, like, what's going to happen with our pricing models? What are clients going to be willing to pay? What can we charge them? What are we paying our people? Who are our people? What do our teams even look like? So these are questions, and maybe I'm being a little alarmist in some cases when I'm thinking about it, but not totally so. Anyone have a point of view or a thought on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
loves
Yeah.
Great. No,
But,
say no more. All right.
Yeah.
See, when we don't see effort we pay for effort, right? We pay for human beings. We used to charge for execution. Production was execution, right? So many years, so many hours, so many man hours, etc. of so many people. So I think from execution, it has to shift to imagination. In terms of, and that's where the see sameness will come with AI. In terms of it's seeing, we all are seeing. There's a lot of everything looks same. Use AI to bring something totally which they should charge. They can charge a premium for. Brand's biggest challenge is how do I stand out in a clutter? So the clutter is going to be a huge problem. Standing out is going to be a huge demand. And directors, creators, production houses, anyone, and it could be an individual also. It need not be a unit who can bring in that freshness will be the one who'll charge a premium. The client will be willing to pay the premium to for that.
Can you churn out something so different every single time?
Gonna be challenging.
It's going to be extremely challenging. It'll be pretty
it's
wild,
gonna
wild
be-
westy,
yeah.
to be
It's gonna
very
be
honest.
challenging for sure. I don't know impossible, but challenging.
No, because how because if, like you said, if you are paying for the fact that, oh, this 8 crore film needs 8 crores to be made and that's why I'm paying 8 crores, versus now I'm paying this filmmaker or this AI creator 8 crores because he's Prateek and he's made epic shit. But
Love you for saying that.
no, but like, right? And if he's made that, but then, like you said, how do you know that the next one that Prateek makes is gonna do the same magic, right?
So for me, it's I think that different parts of the spectrum that people are going to be hit differently, right? So there are going to be, I think, like he mentioned, there are certain people in the execution aspect of things that might be hit harder, and then there are the thinking, the brain side of things that may actually benefit, right? So as an agency, creative studio, independent filmmaker, director, I think it all comes down to your individual taste and how you are going to use AI as an opportunity to stand out. So if you are going to be able to use it as a tool that enables your thinking, that you become the brain for a brand that helps them reach their end goals, you're sorted, because then you're just using a different tool. They are paying you for your brain and your thinking and your thought leadership and all of that, and you move from like the doer mentality to the thinking mentality. And I think that's where the people in the spectrum, whoever are closer to the thinking mentality, will benefit, but as people are more on the towards the spectrum of the doing mentality, may get slightly more hit. But I don't think 70% is, I think, a very aggressive number. Like you said, 70% of all advertising done in AI, I doubt it. I think it will be somewhere close to 30 to 40%, maybe. Actually, we're just playing numbers now. But what I can maybe say for surety is like the way we survived the digital 5D revolution, where everything was on a DSLR and people were like, why can't we just do a Kolaveri every 3 weeks? It settled, right? There was a tsunami and then it just kind of settled. We are at the bottom side of the tsunami right now. The tsunami will happen where everyone will not want to pay more than 10 rupees for an AI video, and advertising budgets will be all over the place. And then again, I think it'll just settle in a different new format where AI intervention will be throughout the process. AI is not going anywhere. But after it settles, maybe pricing models change. Some people will get hit more, some people will benefit more, but I think it'll settle as time goes by.
As I tell people, I mean, what is AI? It's basically, it's like saying, oh, technology. I mean, everything is AI now, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But I think where things are going to get a little bit hairy, if I may use the word, is for the generalists. I think the specialists might have a little bit of an edge who do, for example, in the world of the Universals and Warner Brothers, if you're an A24, right, I think you might be a little safer than the rest, because you will find A24, you'll find your style done with AI models or AI tools or whatever. So that wave has already begun, I think. I think right now for production companies, the time is really to dig deep and figure how unique, what makes you really unique, and how you can amplify that to the sort of pro max level possible. And that's only going to be your moat left. That's what I feel.
So I'd love to react to that. I think pricing power in the current model is eroding because a lot of the current model is predicated on the fact that along with creative excellence, they know how to manage a shoot. Logistics and cost of production and managing crew is not a barrier to entry. And even more so with like AI, right? Like For example, why the younger, let's say, creators are taking very organically to AI because they don't think in departments. If you're a creator, your entire thing is your phone. So you're not thinking, they're writer, director, producer, market, they're all in one, right? So to them, it's not like I am disrupting 3 parts of my crew. It's like I am the crew. This gets added to my toolkit. Let's say if you are a technology brand wants to reach a young male, the creators you want to reach will probably know 10 times more than you because they talk to that audience every day. So from there, they derive an incredible amount of pricing power. And you can see that. And I mean, look, I've done a little bit of brand work, but we've all heard of what if you're a sort of top tier creator or influencer, certain
of course.
niche,
Yeah.
you know what you can
Yeah,
get for a
yeah,
post.
yeah.
That's not predicated on margins. That's not like I offer something that it's not even a black box. People are not doing misleading deals. It's just that influential. If you ask a brand today, do you want to do one more spot or do you want to go to this creator who everyone who wants to buy a gaming console listens to when you're a gaming console company? It's kind of a no-brainer where you're going, right? And to your point, that's directionally accurate that you have to really double down on. But unfortunately, I think it has to be a lot more drastic than that. Culture is
Of
not
course.
static, right?
Of
And
course.
the idea of a production company being where advertising units are coming from, I think is already not fully true. And second, the idea of the 30-second spot as something, or like 1 minute as the sacrosanct unit, core unit of this is how advertising works is also not true anymore. So, which is why I think it's like you have to rethink what is the unit of advertising that is reaching to a young person today. And I don't think that's one unit. It's like conversation is the unit. Like if you look at the most successful, like let's look at Duolingo. Duolingo is not doing ads, but I think they're the most top of mind brand, among the top of mind brands in the world today, because their advertising unit is their Instagram account. And they're constantly in conversation with their audience. That thinking and that output neither could come from a production company as it stands today. It's a very, and I think there was an article about who was behind it, and it was not accidental. It's a young creator type person who came up with that entire
became
strategy.
the creative director of
Yeah, so it wasn't like coming as a brief from an agency and then going to a production company ke hamare liye 100 reel bana do. I think that model unfortunately is not drastic enough. Candidly, someone who's better, like a kind of company that's better positioned today is probably like an influencer management agency
Yeah.
who's got a network of 100 creators across every niche. And so rather than say, okay, our differentiator is logistics and production and creative excellence and delivery, our differentiator is this highly specific talent. And we've gotten those things in-house now, so we know how to produce also. That, I think, is closer to a full stack model versus the current either agency or production company model trying to go full stack.
I
And I think that's where we sort of sit. That's exactly in the position that we sit, because it comes with content, the ideation part of it, the creative strategy, solutioning, like strategizing for the brand really, and then solutioning it with content and entire influencer marketing funnel. Also, I don't think the budgets of the brands are really coming down. I think the budgets, in fact, have gone up, but they're being reallocated into a wider media mix.
Absolutely.
Just the budget allocation on 2 or 3 mediums is gone. Budgets have definitely gone up. And why I'm able to also say that, because we've experienced the demand for the media mix has gone higher. The amount of content or campaigns and touch points rather that they want to get to the consumer is gone much higher. So budgets have definitely gone up, but media mix has become wider. And
Absolutely.
I think, it also is about what we have that is not getting eroded, right? So let's say as leading production companies in the market, brands are used to spending a large amount of money with you for some deliverable, right? Lean into that and then see, while, there's a couple of things. I think that one part of it is solving hard problems, right? And it's not just about the film. There are other touch points, as you say. Yeah? For example, I mean, like gaming is a huge opportunity. That audience is going to be 700 million by the end of this decade. Whereas the brand presence in that world in India, you know? So those kinds of things. But then I think it goes without saying, though, that the distribution part of it, we can't be leaning out. I think that talent is the last bastion of defense. right? And whether it's directorial talent or
Yeah.
influencer talent or whatever it is,
Yep.
I think we need to
Yeah.
start thinking a little bit wider about what we are as companies.
See, also, the more I'm interacting with most of the brands of late, and being agency head, like I'm meeting like every second day, the biggest worry is clutter. How do I
Exactly.
stand out in the clutter? AI-led content will add to the clutter and crazy because everyone is gonna make something the other. Random चीजें बनने वाली हैं, सब same लगने वाली हैं. In that sameness, the biggest worry of any brand is gonna be how do I stand out, and that's the biggest worry any brand has. Like, and what do I stand for? Like today only, the meeting I went for is for an IPL campaign. One word, 3 letters, plan is sold. No logic. If really, ChatGPT would have never thought of it, or any
Yeah.
AI would have never cracked it. So that one crazy idea is going to be always human. I think the value of that idea is going to really go up.
Absolutely.
And so, is there a model to really monetize that more deservingly?
It has to be done with, I think, like I think all the agencies, production houses. See, initially when we went to a client, we said that, hey, we are charging you for execution. I think we'll have to go and say no. Execution is now because everyone knows the execution
the
was
idea.
AI.
So
The
thinking.
idea is the imagination.
How does the transition happen? See, like I mean, people can say that. Like you guys were the first in the market to say. I mean, Raj was saying forever, we're charging for pitches,
Yeah.
right? Everyone else, you say charging for pitches. We're not
Yeah.
pitching, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that how do you transition to a new model? That's I mean, eventually yes. What you're saying, yes, it has to be about ideas because the only thing that comes at a premium is going to be here and your point of view. And yesterday I made the point on the producers panel that no matter who you are, whether you're a filmmaker, writer, whatever, I think spend time thinking about what you are about and what you bring to the table that makes you unique. Even if you haven't identified it yet, you better identify it in the next 1 year, otherwise you're dead.
I
Right?
think it's quite simple actually, Roopak. You protect your IP, and your IP is your thought, and your thought comes from talent, right? So at the end of the day, you go as a thinker. You're paying for the brain because it's going to reach a stage where we used to go and we used to, like typical agency model, right? Like you'd give an idea, but you're hoping that like the idea is only 20% and 80% is execution, or at least a fluid where like you can do production as well. वहाँ पे margins बन जाएंगे, and it also adds to your revenue, top line, etc. Now, like he was mentioning, it doesn't matter. You go in, your arbitrage is on the thought. This is what you protect your IP. This is my great idea. Like he said, he just spat it out on an empty stomach and they loved it. Now you pay me a delta on that, right? Execution, I can do, he can do, she can do, everyone can do. AI pe kar sakta hai. That becomes a format that can be done in whatever way you want to do it. Having said that, there are also obviously more, like the deeper you dig into it, a thought is only a thought, but it has to be executed rightly in order for that thought to come alive also. If you can take a good thought and do it on AI, and it may not reach the potential it requires to be. So I think from a model perspective, you just have to become the brain, the thinking, charge for your talent, for your thought. That's
like
the way I think about it.
Zuzus, if they had not happened then,
Right.
and if they had happened now, an agency should have charged, production house should have charged a crazy premium for that.
For the
Because
thought.
for the thought, for the
Exactly.
execution, for this. Because see, that's what, and that's where I think the agencies and the production houses have to get pushy. You need to know the worth of it. Because you know that you're not gonna make money on execution scale, large scale production, etc. So I think I think brands not like brands have less money now. The money is only gonna grow in their hands. It's not like they're it's since now they're spending less on this, we'll have to make them spend some more on something else. So I think that's the game.
I agree with this thinking of, yes, please pay people for their brains. In India, we really undervalue writers and like idea, like you're right, we reward physical labor, but
Yeah.
we don't reward intellectual labor or originality of thought because that's also not, like if you're having a great idea today means that you're probably thinking about it from like your entire life has led you up to the moment of having an original point of view on anything. I don't think that we've valued that as a culture for a long time. I think we're now starting to because of AI. But I also think it's a bit of a, where I will disagree though, I do not think execution is solved, like not even close. I think it's seeming like that because we've all been given this kind of seemingly magical interface of prompt likho video aega. But that's what's leading to the sameness because there is no width and customization to the workflows. But people who have built custom workflows, if you look at their output, I can tell you, I see stuff on the regular like, what? Like, how did you even get here, right? How are you doing this magic with it? And there will be value to that. And also a lot of that will come from collaboration, because right now I'm just generating by myself. But I want to work with visual artists, all kinds of talent. I want to work with costume and production designers who got so much deep experience of like maybe decades and just haven't found a way to work with this new medium yet. And doesn't mean that they have to replace their workflow with AI. It's like, I want to work with them, saying, okay, you've done this amazing work and maybe you've designed it in like physically. Can I bring this into a virtual world and do something with it, right?
Yeah.
So you will start seeing every part of the process becoming so much more high fidelity that the pricing power of execution will come back. But it's not going to be because it's expensive or difficult to produce it in the way it's understood today. The current understanding of production logistics is not going to be that moat. The new logistics of AI will be there will be some ways to figure out. For example, there will probably be a very high cost to, let's say, you'll need super powerful computers, or if you're running it in the cloud, it's very expensive. So there will be some moat to what it costs to produce, or the technical know-how to put an AI production together, which can bring together various departments and company assets, right?
The
All of
biggest
that.
But
moat
that can only happen if creators start talking about process. The problem that you're absolutely right, because what my biggest issue with most marketing around AI is what we said earlier as well, which is basically like it just makes it sound like the AI
Easiest
is
thing,
doing something.
Correct.
Which is a very big issue, because I feel like he said, there are so many interesting workflows, and even when we were at Gobo, even when we were at Invideo, we're constantly trying to figure out how to achieve what you said, the impossible shot. Like, how do you actually get there? And the answer never lies in just prompt it and get it. It always is take one step here, take one step here, take this tool and then marry it with this tool, and then you hopefully get what you need to get there. And then if people start talking about it with the same kind of love that they do when it comes to, like, say, for example, you see these in-depth tutorials for CGI and VFX, or like Corridor Crew talks about VFX artists react.
Absolutely.
I think that it's time that rather like AI creators could meet and do like a show like that. To be very honest, it'll automatically demystify it and show that there is actual thinking and artistry behind it. It's not.
But that's the thing. I
But
think
that's already happening. LinkedIn Pay, I see so many posts and they break down, that this is my output. This is step one. I did the image from here, then I went to sequence, then I did this. People are being extremely transparent. And
They
these are
should be,
like the
yeah.
top creators, who are doing some incredible work.
But then that's the biggest difference, and I think I keep anchoring back to that. I think there will be enough tutorials on how to do something, but there can't be enough like intrinsic tutorials on just how you can develop your taste. So, and I think that's the biggest issue, and I feel that's going to be your biggest moat. Like today, Shakun is Shakun because his taste has allowed him to become Shakun. The fact that I have chosen a 50 on this and thought of this reaction after that and created this, visual, that is going to make me as a differentiator, as an artist. So, in my opinion, it always comes down to taste. It will, the human taste, the take, the artist is what's going to be the differentiator. That's, in my opinion, eventually the
People
winner.
will pay for talent. Like at the end of the day, if you're making something like a period film or you need any costumes to be designed, you will need a costume designer. She not necessarily needs to operate the system, but you will need her to design that palette and put it together, and so on and so forth, for like a DP or a production designer, etc. in that sense. So hoping it gets there.
Yeah.
And the two guys in Starbucks don't just spoil the
But
pricing
I
model for
have a
us.
counter for that, which is, and I know you said about generalized and specialized people, and I feel DAs in advertising do a lot of referencing, right? Then you sit with the HOD and show them all of that. Today, you just have to show that reference to the model and it'll create it for you. So what will happen, DA, as far as they do the referencing, right, you can get 100 iterations of that or go further and further into it with the model. So that's where I'm actually worried that you may not, to save budgets and costs are going down, you may not go to a specialized person. You may not go to a production designer if I've got the right reference and I can tell Mid-Journey to keep giving me further. Now I know production designers who are actually building ideas on Mid-Journey and then actually executing that idea in physical reality.
It's going to be a reflective process. And to your point, look, I think references can get you so far. But like, let's say you're doing a period film about the 17th century and certain, you have a broad idea of what, like, let's say, certain kind of fashions look back then. But beyond a point, when you hit that wall of, okay, now it's giving you 4 options. Now, unless you're a trained, let's say, production designer, costume designer who studied the history of fashion at that point in time, it kind of all looked the same to you. Like, I don't know what, like, exactly people dress like in Victorian England. Like, I have a broad idea because you've seen it in the movies. But when I have to take that call and I care about the output, sure, there will be a lot of people who will make a broad, like, vibey.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think. What Shakun's
But the
point was
best
that
work will rise above that. I think the best work will rise above
But
that.
I think that's what I'm saying. The best of people, and you may go to that person, but there is an ecosystem of a lot of other costume stylists, a lot of other production designers. You're not who are not specialists. You're going to for that one specific knowledge,
As it is today.
and that is going to be hard.
But the true artistry will be rewarded. Like execution was
Yeah, but you
gonna
know the
come down.
ecosystem more than just the top 1%.
yes,
And I think
Yeah.
we
True,
all
that's
have
also
to
true.
also talk about what happens. Yes, of course, the top 1% is going to survive. They always do, right? But it's like cricket, right? It's only 11 players
gonna get
make it to the
tougher.
team. And then there are, like in India, there are like thousands and thousands and thousands of people who play all the way. They try to get to Ranji and we never know their names. And I think there is that fear, and we have to be honest and accepting of that reality that's about to come. You know?
Absolutely.
I also
And
think the byproduct of just the importance of artist and thought, and I completely agree with you that idea will take front and center, but I also think a byproduct of that is going to be everybody who's in the chain of thinking in advertising, in marketing. Inherently the threshold of thinking will sort of rise up, because if you're not thinking unique, if you're not evolving your ideas, you are out of the system. So
That's
I think
beautiful, yeah.
mediocrity may slightly see the needle moving up, and our teams will inherently become more and more creative in thinking, because if you're not thinking, then
Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome, right? As a collective conscious, we're leveling
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
but
But
I
I
think
think
the point was, I think the point was slightly different. Was about like what happens to the specialists
Yeah.
who, in like say for example, costume and,
Yeah.
and PD, right? I mean, do they now have to start become storytellers for them to survive? Like, because I do think that at the end of the day, he's right, that there will be a small percentage of filmmakers who will be AI filmmakers also, who will be like, okay, I will go to a specialist costume designer to understand if I'm making the right choices. But the bulk of them won't. The bulk of them will just be like, this is my reference, I want to make this.
See, but the people who might be hit the most are the gig workers,
Yeah.
right? We employ hundreds of people on a commercial shoot. As much as Roopak or I will tell our teams that nahi, bahut log nahi chahiye, फिर भी होते ही हैं, right? That's how we
135.
do. That's how we do things, right? That's how things happen. Point is, unfortunately, what happens to them is the bigger thing. My sense is the passionate ones out of them will adapt.
Yeah.
Right? They will find to do something. Like Walt Disney used to hire hand-on animators, right? Computers came in,
Yeah.
right? People adapted, right? It's a generational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a generational
It's a
cycle.
huge
right?
shift.
It's a
yes.
civilizational thing, actually.
Yes.
If you
It's
zoom
seismic,
out
yeah.
and you take a sort of 10,000-foot view of it, then it has to happen
Yes.
and it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
But then suddenly, when you're faced with that reality
Yes.
in the trenches and you're part of that transition and you are paying their salaries or their wages or whatever, you're like, holy it's happening, and it's happening now
Yeah.
in the next year.
Yeah.
Then what?
It's never actually played out like that in history ever, because you feel like I can
That's
do
a
everything,
fear,
right?
yeah.
Like I can order food, but I still eat at home. I can do X, but I can make a picture, but I still like looking at photos other people have taken. I think let's say light crews, right? It's not just a physical act of like rigging. It's also a skill. It's like it's a talent. It's a developed. There is an aesthetic to lighting. There is a sensibility to lighting, and certain directors have a very strong lighting sensibility for their films.
Yeah.
Which they liked working with certain people on. Now, what's possible is that, yeah, sure, the physical demands of lighting may go down because they can now do more in post, like we said, right? But I was like, in the short term, while we're figuring out, there will certainly be disruption. And I think, and this is something I've been like saying every time I've spoken about this, is that most people in rooms like this will be fine.
Yeah.
So the conversation has to move like, okay, where else, right? That said, my slightly, and this is why I'm cautiously optimistic, counterpoint to that is that I don't think overall films are shrinking. So, for example, I mean, I love films, I love cinema, I love Indian cinema across several languages, but it's everyone knows that the paths for an original idea to get made as a feature film is basically non-existent unless you get super lucky.
Yeah.
We haven't had culture being in conversation with film culture so much. It's super ossified. It's kind of almost cartel.
Yeah.
You know, I still want to work in this town, so I don't want to say
No,
much.
no, no.
You're-
It's
but you're
one of
absolutely
the
right.
hardest things
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get a film
Film.
made.
Yeah.
You have to be really fortunate. You have to. It's not just the script. It is all the other movie parts around it.
Correct, right.
Can you get to the actor who'll get you the budget? But now you're right. I
See-
may not need the actor to get the budget because I don't need the budget.
I'm not even saying that. I feel like we are not challenged in our film industries enough for the best ideas to rise to the top.
Right.
We haven't built, I've spent time working at a comic book company. I'm just really obsessively studying the evolution of American comics from like the 1930s to Marvel Studios, right? We never had a moment, we had glimmers. We had Amar Chitra Katha, we had Raj Comics back then.
Indrajal.
We never built an ecosystem of fiction storytelling, for example, in other mediums that is a part of culture big enough across generations to then become source material to adapt. So as a result, the stories that are becoming films in India are obviously gotten much more diverse and interesting over the last 10 years. But still, like, for example, what is the Indian Marvel today? Or who is the Indian Stephen King? Like, there are hundreds of examples of, let's say, in the US or even in the West, where it's market-tested, battle-tested IP. Sure, that's the business word for it, but it's stories that are so strong that have risen to the top through decades and then become source material. And they have, in return, enriched the film industries where they get adapted. If you look at the top 20 grossing movies every year, 12 of them are IP-based adaptations, maybe 15, maybe 18 some years, right? We don't have that in India. Where is the culturally accepted IP base, right? And there have been a lot of existential fears in all our industries that, young people are not like going to the cinema anymore. We don't have a conversation with them anymore, which is true. There is a rare breakout film which becomes the most talked about cool thing. It's not the default anymore where, like, if you're a young person, you're automatically going to the cinema. That's not the case. It has not been the case for a while. But now, let's say you've built a medium which allows lots of interesting fiction coming from these communities and these creators to rise to the top and create a bridge between film industry as it exists today and these ideas that are coming from a generation that has either no connection to the film industry or sometimes not even any interest, right? I think what that will do, and I think AI will really enable that, and we'll start seeing that in maybe 5-10 years, so many more interesting ideas, and people with those ideas, storytellers, will join our film industries, which will make the industries much stronger, the films much better, the stories much better, and actually unlock a level of growth in the way we haven't seen before.
Probably.
So in aggregate, I think there will be a period of growth because the ideas will get better. And in aggregate, I think employment in these industries will go up. So let's say if 10 films are viable, not an exact number, just using an example, and each of those films needs 100 of like a certain department, in success, 200 productions might become viable, and not all of them have to be big scale, and each of them need 5 people, but in aggregate it's bigger.
I still think you're not wrong, and that is the most likely outcome, but there's still going to be disruption in the short term.
Major
I think
disruption.
you're talking about macro.
Of course.
We
I
were
think it's
talking
a-
more micro.
Yeah.
In the
the
transition
sense-
period, it's going to be the case where,
Yes.
like today and tomorrow, we don't know. Like once the new system settles, so I think in that period, like reskilling, upskilling, it's an often repeated thing, is very, very important.
Yep.
And actually now there is enough sort of incentive and starting to be institutional support, including from these companies, to help upskill. So like I think as an industry, for example, can we partner with one of the major AI companies to say, let's do these big workshops for people who are in the business today and how they can adapt.
I think the onus is on us, people around
Absolutely.
this table, and
Yeah.
others who've been around tables through the past couple of days to actually make that happen.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not even that hard. I mean, it is. I've learned a lot of this just by watching YouTube. I took a couple of online courses, but honestly, the majority of everything I learned was on YouTube. And I think it's just more intimidating and overwhelming. When you see the result, you think it must be really tough, so you don't step into it. But I think if someone really sits down, and I think it is going to happen, I think upskilling, reskilling is going to be the year of 2026 will be that. a lot of people will move, and they'll very quickly realize how easy it is. And when you start seeing someone else get good results, then you're like, oh, I should learn it too.
But actually, what I've seen is the other way around. Like the moment they don't see themselves get a good result and someone else gets to see it, I've seen most people go like, "Oh, it's not for me,"
Give
Oh,
up,
yeah, overwhelmed.
or "I'm too
They're
scared of it."
overwhelmed.
Yeah. So I feel like as long as we can like, they can understand that they have to like push through that first couple of like times when you're prompting and you're not getting what you want, then it's a beautiful place to be.
See,
honestly.
one is creating it. See, I think all of us are talking about the creation part of AI. Then there's the final output part. If you look at the end of the day, when a viewer, consumer is watching a piece of content, he doesn't give a about whether it's been made by AI or been shot, etc. Right? At the end of the day, he's going to enjoy it. He wants to enjoy it. I don't think anything has come out from AI which is enjoyable enough in the last. Like, tell me one big popular piece which is AI created in India.
So there's a lot of social
Popular.
media,
But
not as a
but not in
fiction.
advertising.
It's
Popular.
like,
They're
it's like
very
saying,
popular.
"Yeah,
No,
it's
no,
a-
I'm saying when I'm saying popular, I'm saying mass
Advertising.
popular.
Ah, no.
I'm
And he's
saying,
talking about
tell me
advertising
one mass
specifically.
popular piece that has come.
But the tech
Which
is
is there.
like
होगा
less
ना
than
यार
a
वो
year.
अभी तो
Yeah,
शुरू हुआ है।
literally,
Before-
अभी अभी निकला है.
अभी अभी तो
March
शुरू हुआ
and
है।
then VO3 released.
No, see but there's a lot
I
of
get his
content
point.
that's come
Of
out.
course, of
Have you
course. But
seen
I
the-
think
lot of
it's taken
content
time
that
to
has
get to
come out.
consistency,
Yeah.
coverage.
नहीं, पर आइडिया के ऊपर है ना मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल व्हाट आई वाज टेलिंग अर्लियर द आइडिया ऑफ डायनासोर्स इन पलक्कड केरला इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल आइडिया
It got executed also,
it's a
right?
beautiful yeah, somebody's done it in AI. It's very entertaining, it's very unique,
It also did very well.
it stands out. It won it won a gold or something
No, you
at
see,
the
it can
GAM
won a
bit.
goal separate
The
from being
नहीं, my
loved by
point is
the
ये
masses.
टेक्नोलॉजी अभी तो
That's
आई
two
है यार
separate things.
ये देखो
I agree with
एक डेढ़ साल में क्या होगा
No, I don't think you'll have to work towards that for it to be accepted as
But
well.
I
But
think
that's also
that's
happened.
Yeah,
have you
one
seen?
has to.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the Bandar vlogs? Like, have you seen
Yeah,
this
yeah. Incredible,
anthropomorphic
man.
monk? Like, they have hundreds of millions
Or even
of
the
views.
Hulk
Like,
guy.
they're
And
very loved.
this thing, it's crazy.
no, I
They
think
are
his
very
point is
loved.
in advertising in
Ah,
the
yeah.
broad
In
content
advertising.
In
space
advertising.
in
It'll happen.
advertising.
it's yeah
But
use
it'll
cases
have to
will
be done.
happen.
It'll have to be approached in the right way. It
Yeah.
can't just be left. It can't be
Yeah.
made by AI.
yeah
Yeah,
But
yeah,
also,
absolutely.
why advertising? Like, I feel like, as he said, the tech needs to figure out its own format and genre, and then that will get adapted into advertising. Right now, we are thinking we can please advertising with the tool, but I think advertising as we know it may also transition.
Change, yeah.
Yeah,
As you
possibly.
said, the lines between gaming,
Yeah.
how we look at stories may merge. You
It's
know?
basically a medium for brands to connect with their audiences, right? And that.
Yeah,
How do you
but
bring
a
that?
little tricky there. See, the fact that when it comes to brands and advertising, it starts with a marketing problem. It doesn't start with entertainment. Entertainment comes later. How do we make a marketing problem entertaining?
Right.
How do you make the solution entertaining is the task. It's not about, hey, there's something entertaining. How do we fit the brand there? That's never been the approach. And I think it'll never be the approach. It's not been in the last 100 years. Until some magic happens, AI will not do that. We will not change that mindset.
I think
Unless.
that's
unless,
another roundtable, but
Yeah, that's another
because the
roundtable.
way
Unless
advertising is moving
there
today,
are-
it's becoming
yeah,
entertainment.
there are so many different
unfortunately.
options available. You're like, okay, hey, that one solves my problem, so let's go there.
See if that happens, but it's something gets viral, something gets talked about. Say
It's
a lot
not-
of these influencers, a lot of these
not purebred advertising.
creators, then you go there. But see, though, I don't think that mind shift will take time, and till the time AI will not create pieces like that, that mind shift will not happen. So somewhere we'll have to create something which is mass popular, and
So
not
I
just.
think it's a matter of time,
The
yeah, it's
budget
just a matter
already
of
is
time.
making people move in that direction because
It's just a matter of time.
they are just as they want to take smaller risks. So yes, they want to solve a marketing problem. But
Yeah, it
the
might.
people are already moving because of budget. It's not anymore. They're like, oh, I can do it cheap. Let's move, and it's not the right thing. But
right now also the market perception with the clients are also like, oh, if you don't have budget, do it in AI. Which is why right now the AI advertising that we're seeing are like smaller films, 1 or 2 setups. So it's still like, okay, they didn't have money or they didn't have time. So they already start on a back foot when
Exactly.
you evaluate
Guys,
them,
and if you see,
right?
it's a pattern, right? Like, and it'll happen, but it's the same thing. It's repeating itself. History. It's like when
It
digital
is.
ads started.
That's it.
Everyone will be like, "Paisa nahi hai, to digital kar lo."
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
anything that's going mainstream, like successful, is purely digital first, right? You take your biggest
Yeah.
Lahori Jeera, or you take any IPL ads, you take your Moonshot ads, your Spotify Wrapped, your whatever, any of the big even your the ones that Ryan keeps doing with Flipkart. It's digital first,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they're knocking it out of the park. Now that's becoming, but you're right. But I think that's the industry has changed. I think gone are the times where one ad satisfies, like what Prateek was saying back in the 90s. You know, we've grown up on watching Fevicol and like Feviquick and Action Ka School Time, where literally everyone from my mom and me will all be singing the same song, SL World, Jaunga Main, Kabhi Nahi Aaunga Main, because I mean, it was, distribution was gate kept, right? It was, this was it, this is the spot, sab log dekh lo. Today it's so fragmented that advertising will become successful in different circles. Today, you and I will talk about Lahori Zira, but my mom's not talking about it. She's like, "Ye kya hai? Kaun?" Because she is now talking about something else that she's getting. Good morning, flower messages. Or
So
whatever.
one thing that,
So
that
I think
AI
it's
has to
changed.
create the Lohari Zira types too. Like, see,
I don't think that-
toy MP.
I mean, it may
film,
happen at
the
some point.
MP tourism toys you could have done on AI, right?
Yeah.
That MP tourism
So
all.
that's not my point. It's just a matter of time. As I said, it's yet.
But
So
I think
it's not
she's
that
also
far
right.
away.
What I'm saying is popular. See, till
Yeah.
the time it becomes popular,
It'll happen.
it has to become popular. And like nothing is popular now.
Yeah,
as
that's
of now.
But
That popular bit will have to happen. It has to happen.
But
It'll
already
happen.
last year, one of the most talked about Super Bowl commercials was like a pure
Correct.
AI. Like
Exactly.
there's a guy called
Exactly.
PJ Ace who,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
you three had just
But
come
that
out.
time was just the tech
Tech
doing
itself.
it was so
But
shocking.
it was like
It was the magic
it was popular.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that
In fact,
Yeah, but it was
I-
popular for the reasons of
For
novelty.
the wrong
for
reasons.
the
No, yeah.
novelty.
If you had one word of or one piece of advice
Right.
for people who are watching this
Right.
and wondering how to make sense of this world now, given that you've got, or let's say there's a new entrant, okay, people are just entering the business right now, and they are either entering advertising or filmmaking. Given that the paradigm is completely shifted and is going to shift even more, what would be your words of advice for them?
Two things. I think just forget everything you know. This is like really a new paradigm. It's a new medium. It's a new way of thinking about advertising. So forget what you thought you knew and kind of jump into this fresh, because that's the best way to learn anything new. And second, if you are on that learning curve, then find your own way with it. Don't look for shortcuts or hacks or prompt libraries. Just experiment. You have to come as blank you can come into this, the better. You might eventually find your way back to things that you kind of already knew, but you have to start with like a really open mind. Otherwise, you will not really be able to engage with this.
Got it. Thank you. Tarika.
I think a lot more emphasis on culture is going to happen right now. So whoever is coming in or whoever already is, emphasis on culture, emphasis on understanding human truths, nuances, and having just a lot of more exposure towards how humanity and philosophy overall is, because that really is going to feed a lot into what we really think, the kind of stories we tell. How we tell stories, there are a gazillion tools that have been there, that are here, and more will keep coming. But what is going to sit on the base of it is our ability to think and how we translate that into stories. So I think a lot more emphasis on that.
Nice. So the value of the liberal arts education is really going to increase.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you. Hridaye.
I think advice. I think people should just be playing with these tools without fear. I think if you're coming in, understand that this is going to be part of it. So go, like, all those excuses. Like he said that he wanted to make his own independent film and he hasn't, and the camera was the digital camera was supposed to enable it. This now leaves you with zero excuses to make something that you finally say is you and that you can actually use to stand out in the world. So this is the one chance you get to do that. Yeah.
Nice. Shakun, what would you say to a 21-year-old Shakun entering the business now?
Bro, I just think cost of failure has never been lower. It's never been this low in filmmaking. So if you actually want to be a filmmaker, this is your time.
Beautiful.
And for everyone who's already a filmmaker, I understand how intimidating this is. I've been a traditional filmmaker for 15 years.
As you were called yesterday.
And yeah, and I feel like it's not that tough. I promise you, it's not that tough. Get to a point where it doesn't scare you. And then, of course, there's a journey from there, which we can figure.
Nice. Shai, what are your words of wisdom?
So I feel for people who are like already in the industry, it's a good time to adapt and evolve. And for new people coming in, this is the playground. This is the future. And go out there. And I mean, even if you have like nothing to do or you just have like time on your hands, just go out there and play around. And there's no time like the now. So yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Dharam?
Yes, firstly, I'd like to say is there's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of chatter, a lot of noise around these two letters AI. Do not get intimidated. Point number one. And I just want to just say this quote that a shoe is a shoe until somebody steps into it, right? And I think that's what AI should be for you. Step into it, make it your own, make friends with it, and just go from there.
Thank you. Akshat?
Awesome. Similar sentiment. I'd say, kids, AI is not the future of advertising or filmmaking or marketing. Humans are. And I think humans will always be. We're just at the intersection where we have a newer tool. Don't be disturbed, be unperturbed, and just go for it. I think just like everybody encapsulated over here, I think develop your taste, figure out how this is just another tool that can get you closer to your dreams. Hopefully, I'll make that independent film now using AI. And yeah, don't be disturbed by the future. It's not as dark as we may have made it sound.
Thank you, Akshat. Now, coming now to where we started, Azaz.
See, I think it's renaissance of thought happening again. It's a renaissance that happened then. It's renaissance happening again. This is the time when human imagination can really unleash itself, and I think AI is a great tool to unleash human imagination because there's nothing impossible. So, and you can create something really impossible. So see AI from that lens, and everyone should see AI from that lens that you can actually bring a renaissance. You can be the most creative human being you've ever been, and all of us, not just our fraternity, but anyone who would want to toy with AI. Having said that, I'll tell you something which my daughter told me. She's 11 years old, and she was seeing me toying with AI and all that, Chat GPT. She's like, "Why are you using it?" I was like, "It's just helping me, perform better." She's like, "Papa, you don't let me use calculator for solving my math problems.
Ouch.
It can make him help me solve my math problems better. And but I know why you don't let me use that, so that my human mind, my human brain keeps
Train.
thinking. Don't let that happen to you
Wow. That's
with
amazing.
AI, because it
awesome.
should not make you less imaginative.
That's phenomenal.
To me, that's what
Beautiful.
I would say. I think that's the balance one has to make. Use it for unleashing your uh, human imagination, because it cannot replace human imagination. Human imagination is just a tool that will flourish the imagination. Use imagination. That human, don't make it a tool to
Be lazy.
to be lazy, to imagine. Make it a tool to create what you can imagine. I think.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That's great,
That's
man.
great. That's great.
Great parting
Amazing.
thoughts.
Super.
Parting words. Excellent. Thank you, guys. This has been absolutely amazing. I'm going to
Call for beer.
call for beer. So that's a wrap then. What a conversation. Honest, insightful, and deeply inspiring. Thank you to every one of you for being here today and speaking straight from the heart. This roundtable is our way of celebrating all that you bring to the table. Thank you as well to Good Ads Matter for pulling this off and giving the ad world a space to fully thrive, to truly thrive, and have meaningful and constructive conversations. And even though it's written here, I truly mean that.
Yeah.
It's safe to say that we can all go home today and rest easy knowing that good ads matter.
Did ChatGPT
Yeah.
write that?
But
I don't know.
before we end, a round of applause for Roopak as well
Yes.
for really taking
Thank
care
you.
of us.
Thank you.